In a world where survival is a privilege and betrayal is the price of weakness, one man dies a worthless death only to return as the one creature humanity fears and loathes the most, a cockroach. But in this apocalypse, that just might be the greatest power of all. Been taken down. They were told that if they don't finish moving everything before sundown, no one would get dinner, and those who are still breathing should keep moving. The man struggled. The captain noticed him and scolded him. He was ordered to get moving. The man's name is Joe-E. Joe-E is just an ordinary guy trying to survive the apocalypse. And this very same guy will be our main protagonist. This is because in 2026, the world faced a crisis beyond human comprehension. Massive insects erupted from underground, opening countless portals to other worlds. People started calling them abysses. Inside these abysses lurked monsters straight out of a nightmare, like something from a hardcore dungeon in-game. But the abyss also unleashed a mysterious radiation. A handful of people gained incredible powers from it. They became known as awakeners. But for those who didn't awaken, if they wanted to eat, they had to do the filthiest, toughest jobs. Ye had to load the monster part on the truck. He was exhausted. He fell on all fours on the ground. The captain saw him sitting and didn't hesitate to slap him in the face. He was yelled at, saying that he's slacking and trying to play the victim. He caressed his face and bit his lip to hold it in. His cheek was bruised, and yet he's concerned that the captain's hand hurt because of his face. The captain called him a pain in the ass. He was questioned if he can work, and if not, he should just get lost. He replied that he can. The captain yelled that the bodies need to be moved before dark and they won't get any food until they finish. He assured the captain that he'll get it done. Suddenly, the ground shook. He thought it was an earthquake. But a monster appeared in front of him. It was like a worm with 4 tusks, and its circular mouth had sharp teeth. He turned pale. They got terrified upon seeing that there's still one alive. They started running. The captain noticed him and thought that running wouldn't save them. He made a decision. Suddenly, there was a gunshot. Ye was hit on the leg. He was surprised. When he turned around, he saw that it was the captain who shot him. He fell down while the captain got past him. While dashing away, the captain told him that weaklings should be baits. Now he understood that the captain left him as bait so the others could escape. He questioned why when all he wanted was to survive. And yet it was so damned hard. He realized that someone like him, weak, powerless, was doomed from the start. He cried. When he opened his eyes, he saw an insect crawling on his hand. He thought that only cockroaches had it easy because they can eat anything while he struggles every day just to find food. And they are practically unkillable since even the abyss radiation couldn't wipe them out. He thought that if there's a next life, being a cockroach wouldn't be so bad. He eventually got eaten by the monster. Meanwhile, several screens appeared to show that human transformation was initiated and the evolution system had been activated. It attempted reconstruction 4 times because of failure until it reached the 1,599,999th reconstruction and eventually succeed. When he opened his eyes, he saw a dirty place. He wondered if he's dead. He raised his hand, and it wasn't a human's hand. He approached the mirror nearby and saw his reflection. He was surprised like the shock of humans when seeing a cockroach because, well, he looked like one. He asked if it was him. He couldn't believe that he actually turned into a cockroach. He was surprised to see his extra 2 arms. And what's even stranger for him is that it felt like they have always been there. It felt natural for him. The only thing that feels off is the weird muscle in his back. It moved. It was his wing, and it made him fly, and he panicked and wanted it to stop. He clashed into the wall and fell. He realized that when he slightly tensed the muscles in his back, his wings moved on their own. Suddenly, he felt regret. That if only he knew that wishes before death were powerful, he would have asked for something better. Someone appeared and called him ungrateful. A golden cockroach floats in front of him, offended that he mocked the cockroach god's blessing. The cockroach god stated that in 5,000 years, he's the first human to ever pray for his power. He was going to give him the strongest abilities, but now he saw that he's regretting it. Yi realized that isekai novels are real. He called the cockroach system, but changed it to father. Then he apologized. The cockroach god didn't say a thing. Then it disappeared. The system screen appeared and showed that the system has shut down because the cockroach god dislikes him. He realized that he just pissed off his cheat code. Over the next 10 days, he tried his hardest to summon the system, but no matter what he did, the system wouldn't come back. The other cockroaches saw him and wondered what he's doing. Because of that, he realized that he could understand cockroach language now. On his first night, he's alone. He realized that joking about becoming a cockroach was one thing and actually being one was disgusting. He peeked at the cockroaches nearby who was having their meal. It made him barfed because they're feasting on poop. One cockroach noticed him. It brought him poop and encouraged him to eat while it was fresh. He turned pale and yelled at it to stay away from him, but the cockroach insisted and shoved it in his face. It lets him have it since he prefers to eat a runny one. Instinctively, Ye slapped the cockroach to make it stay away, and the cockroach fell on the ground. It expressed that its feelings were hurt. Ye apologized and explained that it was because its breath smelled like crap. He suggested that it dies somewhere else before they talk again. And on the 5th night, Ye just laid on the ground. He cursed at his genes because now even poop had started to smell good. He knew he had to find food soon or he might actually sleepwalk into a pile of dung. He rummages through plastics because a sealed one usually stops normal cockroaches from smelling food. But not him. He based it on his human knowledge and expected that there should be something edible in the trash pile. He saw a plastic that was labeled 3 years expired. He rushed to open it. The system notified him of an expired egg yolk pile. It is approximately 385 calories inedible for him. He thinks it was disgusting, but his stomach growled loudly. Eventually, he ate it. He was overjoyed eating it. He finds the smell great too. Though he knew that humans can't eat it, for cockroaches like him, it's a feast. He cried upon receiving what he wished for. On the 10th night, the cockroach god still hasn't returned. He thought becoming a cockroach would make the apocalypse easier, but reality slapped him hard. He felt miserable to the point that he considered ending it all. But as a cockroach, he can't die from falling, drowning, or even poison. His only option is finding a predator to eat him. But since he got eaten in his past life, just thinking about it hurts him to the point that it made him shudder, which then forced him to keep living. He felt fortunate that cockroaches are social insects. He thought that if he could dominate a colony and become king, he'd have a better shot at survival. It made him think that he didn't need a system, and with just his human intelligence, he'll thrive. He started with the one beside him, whom he called Little Fatty. He asked him if he wanted to team up, but it aggressively rejected him since he can't even get fresh poop. He realized that in that world, power isn't about living comfortably, but being seen as someone who thrives. He knew that he needed an opportunity to prove himself. On his 20th day as a cockroach, that chance finally came. One muscular cockroach announced to his fellow cockroaches that starting that day, they are moving into a better feeding ground. They could either come with them or stay and wait for predators to eat them. One of the listeners cried that they no longer have poop to eat. In Ye's mind, those cockroaches are worse to lead. Then the cockroach bald let his eyes out while expressing that he's scared to go outside. He saw the other cockroaches and wondered why they looked terrified. He wondered if it's because they are that lazy. The muscular cockroach asked if there's anyone volunteering to scout ahead. He told them to speak up, but everyone was dead silent. He didn't participate since he doesn't even need their poop to survive. But the system appeared and told him that the cockroach god says that if he accepts the mission, he might be forgiven. Without second thought, he raised his hand and volunteered to lead the charge. Little Fat High was in awe of how brave he is. He had a grin on his face as he thought that his cheat code was back. A few moments later, they hid behind the grass. They had to cross the dam, and he thinks it's easy. But the little fatty was scared and told him he knew nothing. He shared that every time food runs low, the big cockroaches send the little ones to scout new spots, and that would make them a walking buffet for predators. He yelled that they could all die. Yi realized that it was a suicide mission. It made him think that the cockroach god is screwing with him by sending him to die as a sacrifice. He yelled that he's backing out, and thinking about it, he had a way to keep them fed. Little Fatty looked scared. Yi was confused with his reaction. Little did he know that the big cockroach was behind him. It asked where he's going. Then it told him that beyond the dam, there are monster corpses waiting to be eaten. So, first come, first served. He realized that cockroaches have evolved to eat interdimensional monsters. One cockroach exclaimed that it's amazing. It was like having free food forever. You told the big guy that he's on a diet and they should go ahead. The big cockroach looked at him suspiciously. Then it moved swiftly and grabbed him on the neck. It told him that if he doesn't want to scout, he will become dinner instead. Yi now knows that even bugs adhere to survival of the fittest. Back when he's human, his team was sent to scavenge because they're weak, disposable bodies. The leader told him that searching for food is a privilege. He could see that leader in this big cockroach. It threw him on the ground and told him that he should be thanking him for giving him a chance to survive. It stomped his head. He was squished on the ground. He knew he had to get his cheat code back because being able to eat anything won't cut it. He was determined to be stronger. While crossing the dam, he instructed his brothers to spread out and move ahead. He ordered them that if anything happens, they should alert the group. He told the little fatty to stop clinging on him, but it was too scary. Yi looked ahead. He got too concerned because they aren't anywhere near a river, and yet there are wave barriers. The big cockroaches were relieved that they're halfway through and nothing had happened. They were ready to get moving because they couldn't let those brats take all the good stuff. They came rushing by flying, thinking that if there's danger, the brats would get eaten first. Ye was annoyed that they could fly, and yet they ordered them to scout. He called them cowards. Suddenly, he noticed something from the back. He saw large red eyes. He felt scared. Then he thought it was stones, but realized that those were toads. The other cockroaches cried. The toads pushed out its tongue as the cockroaches ran in panics. One cockroach yelled to run, scatter, and fly. A cockroach was grabbed. It yelled loudly as it got chewed. Several more cockroaches got eaten. The system appeared to show that a predator had been detected. It analyzes its biological data and learned that it is a mutant toad. It's an amphibian that possesses powerful hind legs capable of leaping 20 times its body length. Its tongue extends at 4 meters per second, lined with barbed teeth coated in paralyzing mucus. Its weakness is that it cannot see stationary prey. You told everyone to stay still because they can't see anything that doesn't move. He instructed them to lie down and don't breathe. Suddenly, the cockroach god grants you a choice. One option is to follow the safe route and escape alive. And the other is to save a fellow cockroach and gain his first loyal follower on his path to become the Cockroach King. He initially thought that he couldn't become king when he died. It was an obvious choice for him until he heard little Fatty wailing. With a terrified look in its eyes, it stared at him. He recalled his experience back then. The thing he wished for most, the thing he never dared to dream of, wasn't becoming a cockroach. He just wished that back then someone would turn back and save him. Even when death was certain, the cockroach god started the countdown. He longed for someone to save him. He grabbed Fat High and hurriedly flew away while lecturing him to be on a diet. Fatty expressed, "Bro, I love you." He told him to shut up because his breath is distracting him. He got worried when it suddenly got dark. It was because they are headed to the mouth of a toad. He knew they're doomed. He looked at Fatty and made a decision. He threw him away from the mouth. Fatty turned around and saw him being eaten, and he's crushed. Suddenly, the system window appeared and informed him that he passed the test of the cockroach god. His selfless spirit had moved him. The system access was restored. He unlocked a new trait called Devour All Things. It was activated. Then he acquired new abilities like Sticky Tongue and Acidic Mucus. It was absorbed from the mutant toad. Suddenly, the toad exploded. Ye gained a special reward. A footstep out of the toad's body. Yai was notified that blind body has been unlocked. He's in a human form covered with green toad blood. The cockroach god uttered that even in direst of situations, he upheld righteousness, so he is worthy to be his successor. Yi asked if it meant that he won't have to stay as a cockroach anymore. The cockroach god explained that a cockroach is little strong and that means it's indestructible. Given that he's already indestructible, he shouldn't worry about the form he takes. Yi admitted that he sucked in Chinese school, so he requested him to put that in plain words. The cockroach god yelled at him, saying that it means he can keep his human form while having the power of immortality. He celebrated that he's no longer a cockroach. He jumped up high as he rejoiced. The cockroach was impressed with him since few humans ever show compassion for bugs. Yet he saved his companion. When he landed from his jump, he felt something underneath his foot. When he removed his foot, he saw little Fatty squished. The cockroach god got annoyed that he just stepped on the companion that he just saved. That got Yi worried because he turned human again because he saved little Fatty. And now that he squished it, he wondered if he'll turn back into a cockroach. He tried to calm down. He knew his survival skills would depend on his acting skills now. He felt foolish, too, for choosing him. He was cut mid-sentence when he cried out loud. He acted so heartbroken because he raised little Fatty himself and now it's dead. To the point that he couldn't live anymore. It was so dramatic, he even rolled on the ground as he bawled his eyes out. Watching him made the cockroach god realize that Ye's bond with the cockroach runs deep and that maybe he misjudged him. The cockroach god told him to stop crying since the little Fatty isn't dead. Well, to be precise, it can't die because it became his guardian. So, as long as the king lives, it will revive endlessly. He was instructed to kill some mutant monsters to refill its energy, and it will come back to life. They looked at the toads. You planned to spare them, but now he thinks it's impossible. He made sure to make them remember the terror of being dominated by humans. The way he grabs the toad was portrayed in reference to Attack on Titan because he's large, naked, and had steams all over him. The toad sensed him. It immediately leapt towards him. This guy was just like Captain Levi at this point, and it slapped him with force. His cheek was bruised. He felt annoyed that this toad is becoming a Levi wannabe and taking on titans. He trapped it in his hands. The cockroach god warned him that the mutant toad is dangerous. When he saw his hands, it had burns. The toad emits corrosive mucus from its body. He yelled in pain and dropped the toad. He kept shaking his hand. And when he does, his whole naked body shakes too. And the toad thought his pee-pee was a little caterpillar. It released its weird tongue. The tip of the tongue separates like a finger and it grabbed Ye's pee-pee. He screamed out loud. It was so painful that it made him jerked upwards. He eventually caught the toad and removed it from him. He admitted to the cockroach god that he couldn't even beat a mutant toad. The cockroach god wasn't surprised because the toad was using its abilities while he just flailed around. Yi pondered on his abilities. The cockroach god reminded him that he gave him the trait Devour All Things. If he eats the frog, he will gain its immunity. The cockroach god carried the toad towards him while saying that when he devours everything, he shall ascend to godhood. He asked if he could cook it first, but the cockroach god shoved it in his mouth while telling him to swallow it raw. Yi craved power, but the moment his tongue touched the toad, over 10,000 taste buds screamed in agony. It was revolting. He vomited and expressed that he couldn't do it. The cockroach god told him that if he won't do it, he'll die since he's already surrounded. As if on cue, all the toads jumped towards him. He panicked, but then he wondered why he's whining when before he worked himself to death and couldn't even get a bite to eat. He realized that now food is literally being served to his mouth. He wondered why he's still complaining. He ate the toad. The system screen showed that Devour All Things are activated, and it detected the traits of the creature. Yi acquired corrosive mucus, frog leap, and elastic muscles. After that, he looked enlightened. He told the toads that their tricks are useless now. It was funny how he attacked them like he's performing gymnastics. When he defeated all of them, he uttered that invincibility is such a lonely existence. All of a sudden, a light blinded him. He covered his eyes. The light came from a military vehicle. One soldier announced that they found a naked weirdo doing unspeakable things to the toads. Yi asked them if they're there to rescue him. But in a blink of an eye, the order to execute was given. He was shot with dart arrows. A few seconds before this encounter, the military trucks lined up in front of him. He saw the badge on it and identified that it was the extermination squad. He had heard of them in his past life. They're humanity's strongest resistance force in the apocalypse. Every member is an elite awakener. They hunt down monsters on the surface and deep inside the abysses, track new abysses in real time, and maintain order around the cities. It was said that people living under their protection have already returned to a peaceful pre-disaster life. Running into them made you think that he thought that he's going to be rescued, but to his surprise, he's shot. He fell. The soldiers prepared for capture. They approached him but were surprised that he moved. His body trembled as he tried to stand up. Elastic muscles have been activated, which means he can control every muscle in his body, allowing him to dodge attacks with agility. Because of that, the dart arrows fell from his body. The soldiers deemed him to be dangerous. They assumed combat positions. Yi raised his hand and begged for a chance to explain. The soldier ordered to aim and fire, but someone told them to stop. They turned their heads. A woman sitting on the roof of the military truck told them to capture him alive. It was their captain. Ye is starting to get annoyed and questioned if those guys can't understand human speech. The wheel of a vehicle got moving. Several bikers appeared and they surrounded Ye. They had roped with them and they threw it at Ye. It was tied to his neck, arms, and feet. Then the bikers accelerated, dragging him with them. He was suspended in the air as the bikers went in 5 different directions. He yelled out loud when he felt that his body was being ripped apart. His veins appeared on his skin. He activated corrosive mucus. It secretes a highly corrosive mucus across the skin surface. The captain noticed it. The rope melted and he's free. While the bikers all fell from their bikes, the captain realized that he's an awakener too. She ordered to catch him. They all chased after him. The green-haired soldier grabbed onto his torso, but he's able to break free. When the soldier saw his hand, it was steaming because of the acid. He finds it interesting. Another soldier attempted to catch Ye. It jumped up high and tried to punch him, but Ye was able to dodge it. He punched the ground instead and debris flew everywhere. Another soldier, this one holding a baseball bat, came in front of Ye. Ye had to slide on his knees and bend his upper back to evade its swinging. He looked for his cheat code. The system activated Frog Leap. He was impressed. When he looked behind him, he's already at a great distance from them. He mocked them for not being able to catch him, but unexpectedly he tripped and fell. A purple rope was tied to his ankle. The waifu candidate captain, who was just sitting there, did that. She asked him if he really thought he escaped. Our boy was alarmed. He thought he's already safe. She reeled him in. More ropes came out of her finger, and it wrapped around the whole body of Yi. She jumped down, tightened the rope, and stepped on him. She attached it to the motorbike and she drove away, dragging him behind. Yi yelled, "Spare me," and they zoomed away at the stronghold city. The Vermilion Bird Gate opened when someone announced that Vice Captain Eileen had returned. She told them not to open it too wide because they don't want monsters getting in. She slid inside and once in, she stopped. They brought Yi to the extermination squad prison. Walking beside Yi are 2 women wearing a lab coat and Eileen in front. He told him that he's harmless and that since it's apocalypse, being naked shouldn't be a crime. The woman on the right was surprised that he could talk. She uttered that he's different from the last 12. Eileen told them not to let their guard down. She stated that over the past week, 12 unknown refugees showed up. Same story every time. All naked, all grinning like idiots and completely mute. The tests say they're just normal humans, but she admits that something about them feels not human. The woman on the left suggested just killing them all to save them trouble. The woman on the right replied that if they start executing people just for being mentally impaired or ugly, they would be the same as the monsters outside. She told her to quit complaining and that the gene test will be out tomorrow. He realized that he got arrested just because he matched the profile of those 12 weirdos. Then he thought about the gene test. He asked the cockroach god if they could detect them using it. The cockroach god asked what it was. Yi knows he's screwed. The door opened. Eileen told him that whether he's a pervert or just part of the 12, he should just sit tight and behave. He asked why the lights were out. The woman noticed some vacant chairs. She asked the other woman if she moved the prisoners somewhere because there's only one left there. The ponytailed woman replied no. She's surprised to see that the others are gone. The prisoner that was left sat quietly. Eileen sensed something. Then they saw that the head of the prisoner expanded. They were all shocked to see them all floating on the ceiling. Yi asked what it was. The prisoners' heads were like balloons and it kept them floating. What's more is that they have this creepy expression on their faces. Yi was terrified. Behind him, the tied prisoner roared and its skull started breaking open. Then something came out of it. Ye and the ponytailed researcher turned around. They saw a monster that looked like a tree with mushrooms on its head, 3 eyes, spiky mouth, and had vines. The vines wrapped around them. Then it targeted Eileen. She leapt to avoid it. She realized that it was the true form. The researcher grew bumps on her body. It multiplied instantly. Boils covered her. Yi too. He's also confused about what's happening. The cockroach god told him that he's been parasitized. He instructed him to chew on the pores at once or else he'll turn into a zombie. The monster yelled that it wanted to have his body. Eileen was surprised that it talked. She had never seen a species like that before. The researchers moved like zombies. It went to Eileen. Eileen planted her rope on the ceiling and pulled herself up to avoid them. In her head, she complained that dealing with parasite-type monsters is always a pain. She can't just rush in and punch it. She knew that her abilities were practically useless there, and she doesn't have any magic crystals on her. She then noticed something on the table. There were scalpels. She grabbed one and threw it. The monster saw it and moved its vines. It used the researchers as a shield. Eileen was surprised. She had to pull back her rope. It was an emergency stop. Otherwise, she would have hurt the researcher. The monster teased her for being cowardly. Meanwhile, Ye was concerned because he couldn't eat it fast enough. It was drilling into him. The cockroach god told him to stop whining and swallow it already. He swallowed. The system notified him of devouring the parasitic spore, which led him to acquire parasite resistance. His resistance increased to 45%. Eileen grabbed the other scalpels and told the monster that it's the coward for hiding behind hostages. She threw the scalpel. The monster told her that her actions are useless. She asked if I was sure about it. She manipulated the scalpel to go around the researchers. The monster was surprised that it got hit. She had a rope stick to the scalper to maneuver it. The monster screamed loudly. Just as Eileen suspected, its real body is weak. That's why it needs hosts to protect itself. Suddenly, the researchers bled on the same parts that the monster was hit. Eileen was surprised. The monster decided to transfer the attack to the hostages and restored its body. It was such a pain in the ass. Then the monster pointed out that she's infected too. She didn't know until then. She saw her arm had transformed and it won't listen to her. Her own arm choked her. The monster didn't give her a chance to cleanse the spores. The monster was confused when she saw that Eileen was smiling. She binded her arms with her string and looped it into her thigh so her arms wouldn't reach her neck. It was fortunate that it was her who fell into the monster's trap. If it had been any of her teammates, they would be dead by then. Her spider silk can control an enemy's body, and she can use it on herself, too. Using the strings, she threw the scalpel. The monster was hit. Then she uttered that it was too bad for the monster because it didn't take much for her to break free. The monster told her that if she keeps struggling like that, she'll bleed out and lose her ability to fight. And the monster threatened her that if she tried to run, it would kill the researchers. It suggested that they escaped together. She replied that even if the monster begged, she wouldn't leave. It will only happen after he has taken him down. Meanwhile, Ye kept eating. The monster noticed him because of the crunching sound. The monster realized that it can't control him, so it will just kill him. Yi sees he's in a bad situation because he can't dodge. Suddenly, strings wrapped around him, and in a lightning-fast motion, he's pulled by Eileen. The monster was dumbfounded. Yi screamed out loud. He thanked her for saving his life. He landed below her. His nosebleed and cheeks turned red when he saw her underwear. Eileen was speechless. She realized that he's not one of them and he's just a shameless pervert. He replied that he kept telling her that. She told him that since the monster can't take over his body, they have two options. Either they both die there, or she holds the monster back while he seeks for help. RMC was speechless. He didn't like it, so he chose option C. Eileen asked, "What the hell is it?" He replied that they would team up and blow that ugly mushroom to bits. She couldn't believe how eager he was to throw away his life. She asked why. He had a determined expression. The question made him recall the time he's left to die. And he answered that he hates people who abandon their teammates and run when faced with monsters. He stated that cowards like that are worse than the monsters themselves. She commented that he's a brave young hero, but deep inside she thinks he's an idiot or something. But in reality, Ye was already prepared because the system told him that the monster's real body is weak, and if he's already immune to parasitism, he can take it down easily. He was thinking that if he wins, he'll earn a safe place under the extermination squad's protection. The mushroom complained that humans, even in battle, still think of impressing the opposite sex. The monster thinks that it's pathetic. It released several vines on their way. He knew that Eileen could control bodies too. He told her to hurry up and control him so he can fight too. He told her that he's not afraid of parasitism, but he doesn't know how to fight either. Eileen released her spider silk, but warned him that she can't guarantee his safety. The string was attached to Ye's body. She moved her fingers and told him to go for it. He charges ahead. The monster knew he couldn't dodge his tentacles, so he questioned how he's going to break through his combat puppet. Ye was met by the researcher controlled by the monster. Eileen moved her fingers so Ye could grab the researcher and shove her down. Then the ponytailed researcher attacked next. Eileen moved the strings and moved Ye like a puppet so he could slide down between the legs. Then he leapt. The monster noticed that he's moving faster now. It started to think that the woman was controlling him. Eileen commented that the monster had brains after all. Ye was ready to punch the monster. He screamed out loud, "Die!" The monster's vines moved. It created a barrier to protect itself. It was confident that Ye was too weak to break through its defenses, but as Ye approaches, a trait gets activated. The trait is elastic muscles together with corrosive mucus. His punch landed. The monster coughed green blood. Eileen was surprised to find out that Ye had been hiding extra abilities. A part of the monster melted. Its torso was left with a big hole. It couldn't believe how strong Ye is. Ye smiled. The monster refused to die there, so it planned to transfer the damage. But to its surprise, its wounds weren't healing. Then it saw Eileen crouched beside the two researchers, and she already extracted the parasitic spores from them. She crushed it on her hands, and she annoyed the monster by saying that she couldn't wait to see how it would look all sliced up. The monster glared at her. This ugly got triggered even more. Suddenly, the human balloon floating in the air started acting up. They then popped and excreted liquid. Eileen and Ye were surprised, and they saw the blood gathered towards the monster. The hole in the monster's torso started closing. Both Eileen and Ye got cautious. Then the monster turned gooey. Its body was transforming. It was now like a giant red slime with sharp eyes. When it finished the transformation, it looked like a muscular red bipedal monster with 4 eyes, sharp teeth, and long tongue. It was far from looking like a tree. Both Eileen and Ye got cautious. The monster told them that they're the first human to ever see that form. It hoped that they wouldn't disappoint. In a blink of an eye, its fist is already at Eileen's face. It was that fast. When its fist landed, she got blasted backwards and she collided with the wall. Ye was surprised. They didn't expect it to be that strong. She could tell that it's on a completely different level than before. She saw it reaching for her. It grabbed her head and shoved her on the ground. As she's dragged, it left a trail on the ground. Then the monster threw her. She's coughing blood already. She stayed in a fetal position on the ground while the monster looked at her. It felt like an attack landed on its body. It turned around and saw Ye. It knew that the attack came from him. Ye knew they're in a bad situation. The monster closed the gap towards him, and without holding back, it punched him. He crashed on the ground alongside the researcher. Our boy was already out cold. The system warned him that all bones were broken and internal organs were severely damaged. Since fatal injury has been detected by the system, the immortality trait has been activated. Full body regeneration was in progress, and just a few more twitching, it was done. Our MC woke up again and immediately whined that he really nearly died. He also noticed that the cockroach god was beside him and told him that if he takes another hit like that, he can't guarantee that he can save him. With that, Ye immediately played dead. He silently cheered for Eileen and hoped that she would win. The monster was occupied with Ye. It called him weak, but it turned around when it heard something snapped, and Eileen was about to kick it, but it caught her leg. She had no idea how that happened. Her leg was pulled. Clutching her leg, the monster hurled her side to side, pounding her against the ground with brutal force. First on one side, then the other, as if she were nothing more than a rag doll. Then the monster threw her. She collided with the ceiling and vomited blood. The monster grabbed the chair that he's tied up in earlier. At this point, Eileen was already falling from the ceiling. He lifted it while complaining that it was so uncomfortable. Using the chair, he hit her like a baseball and she hit the wall again. More blood came out of her body. She's in pain as both of legs were broken. She didn't give up though, since her arms still work. You witnessed that. He couldn't believe that even the vice captain of the extermination squad couldn't beat that thing. He wondered if there's anyone who could save them. Someone called him. It was the researcher, and she told him to tell the vice captain to unleash her full power. She opened her palms and revealed a red gem. Yi saw it, and he reached for it. But there's a problem. He has no idea how he'll deliver the stone to her. The cockroach god suggested that if he pushed the elastic muscles straight to the limit and charged forward, he might find an opening. And based on his calculations, the success rate is 10%. Yi replied that it's basically a death sentence. The cockroach god pointed out that it's either a 10% chance of survival or a 100% chance of dying. Yi grits his teeth as he contemplates. He could only curse as his body started moving. He activated the elastic muscle trait, screamed out loud, and started charging forward. The monster noticed him. The cockroach god noticed that the monster's reaction was even faster than expected. So with that, his success rate dropped to 5%. Y knew he couldn't turn back now. He could just go all out. He leapt so high to go above the monster. The cockroach god told him that there's only 1% left. Yu was determined to reach Eileen, but the monster grabbed his foot. It asked him what he's doing. Yu got pulled. The cockroach god uttered that it's now 0%. Ye was smashed on the floor. The impact was so powerful that he created a dent on the ground. The monster was about to step on him. But Ye has a determined expression and believes that he hasn't reached 0% yet. He knew that the position was his last chance. He threw the stone while yelling at Eileen to catch it. Then the monster stomped on him and called him weak. But it got surprised and realized that there was a problem. Its foot didn't reach Ye's head because Ye had been protected by spider silk. The monster turned to Eileen. And this badass waifu #1 acknowledges that Ye risked his life just to get the crystal to her. She's seriously touched. Her legs were patched up using the spider silk. This is her using a lot more of her ability now. She released more of it through her fingers. Then she wrapped the monster with it and pulled the strings. It made the monster fall on the ground. Her hand transformed into a blade. She calls it Spider Snow Blade Unshathed. Then she slashed the monster using that, but it disappeared. That surprised her. Suddenly it towered over her. Then it stated that humans who can wield their power are still too weak. It grabbed the blade and snapped it in half. Then it grabbed her by the neck and pierced her torso using the detached part of her blade. Yi watched it happen. She laid motionless. Yi felt hopeless. The monster was about to stab her again. Unexpectedly, its hands got chopped off instead, and a long brown-haired guy carried Eileen. It angrily looked back. Ye was surprised too. A large, bulky man walked away from the monster. 2 more people arrived. The monster inquired who there. There was a silver-haired woman with eyeglasses and a tall maroon-haired man with brown cape. And the last would be the large, muscular brown-haired man that carried Eileen. They all wore the same uniform. The woman saw the researchers on the ground. She checked their body and said that they're in a bad shape since their organs, bones, flesh are all a mess. She knew she had to treat them at once. This woman is the captain of the Extermination Squad 10. Haley, the large, muscular brown-haired man, is the captain of Extermination Squad 2, Foe. He assured Haley that no monster would get past her to hurt her. The chief commander, Corey Varon, told them that he'll take care of playing with the monster for a bit. He was amused that this one could talk because that's rare. Eileen woke up and weakly reported that the monster was different. She told him to be careful. The chief replied that she has nothing to worry because he's built differently too. Haley told them to shut up because she needs absolute silence for the treatment. She used a green stone. A root came out of the ground. She used the technique Runic Revival and enveloped the researchers with a large flower each. Fellow placed in on the flower too. Even Yu was engulfed with the flower. He was confused to see the flowers. He felt warm, like he's soaking in a hot spring, and it's making him want to close his eyes. And he did until the cockroach god appeared and yelled at him not to pass out. It even injected him with adrenaline. He immediately woke up since it was burning. Haley saw him and got confused because the treatment shouldn't hurt. The cockroach god told him that he's lucky. It advised him to open his eyes and witness the peak power of the era. Corey Varon introduced himself to the monster, and since it can understand human speech, he invited it for a talk. The monster replied that they don't talk to food. It made Corey confused. Suddenly, Corey noticed blood spilling from the cracks on the roof. This really got his attention now. It kept dripping and it eventually formed a shape. It was the captives that the monster devoured that became its army, and it claimed that all of them will die there. The other monsters charged ahead, and they're heading towards Haley. Yeah, I was stressed to see there are monsters everywhere from above, left, right below. But then Foe assumed a combat stance. When he punched the air, it released sharp waves, and it immediately disperses the other monsters. Meanwhile, Haley manipulated the wind. Ye noticed it swirling around the flowers until it formed a cyclone barrier. Foe can deal with the monsters, but she had to deal with the blood. She's annoyed, but she let it slide. Ye's jaw dropped as he witnessed the power of a captain-level awakener. The monster was pleased with himself for managing to stall 2 captains. Now, the first one he plans to eliminate is Corey. Some monsters were liquefied. The main monster screamed out loud as it absorbed the others. Then, its body transformed. Beside its head, it created 2 more heads and arms, one on each side. It's now a gigantic, ugly monster. Yi exclaimed that it's so unfair for doing a 3-stage transformation. Corey expressed that he envies guys like the monster since they can grow bigger whenever they want, while Ha had to go through a whole process just to do it. The monster threw a punch, but Corey moved swiftly so it didn't land on him. He then teased the monster that it almost got him. The monster got angrier. It tried to punch him again, but he jumped to evade it. Then he crouched so low to evade the next attack. The monster kept attacking, but he's agile enough to evade it all. The monster got annoyed with him, dodging like some annoying bug. When Corey jumped, he saw the monster became flexible and one of its vines wrapped around his torso. The monster told him that he's done for. But our boy pulled out his sword and slashed the monster consecutively. Then he landed on his foot while the monster was chopped into pieces. What a Chad. The monster had no idea what just happened. It trembled in fear as Corey approached it. And in a single __ flick of his finger, the monster's body disintegrated. Corey watched it intensely. Only the small mushroom-type body of the monster was left. And in a single swift move of his arm, Corey trapped it in a bottle. He was so happy to have it. It was like he just caught a new Pokemon or something. He got excited catching his first talking monster in H story. He asked if he has the privilege of naming it. Haley yelled at him to quit messing around and that he should start thinking about how to explain the destruction of the brand new research facility to the council. Both her and Foe uttered in unison, "Stupid boss." He couldn't fathom how strong he's. The cockroach god asked him if he saw that gap. Then he told him that he can pass out now. Time had passed in one of the rooms. The inside looked like a cozy home. He slowly opened his eyes and asked where he's. He was surprised to find himself in a bathtub. He saw something. The curtain reveals a silhouette of a woman in the shower. He turned red. He was confused on what's going on. Eileen peeked from the other side and saw that he's awake. She really looks like a different person just because of her hair. She told him that his gene results aren't back yet, so technically he should have been locked up for another night, but since the prison was destroyed, she had to bring him home under her supervision. Ye tries to cover his body. He asked if they really had to go that far, being naked and soaking wet together. She didn't care if he saw her body, and she lectured him to stop being shy. Then she explained that hot water is only available during that time, so there's nothing they could do. She introduced herself properly and thanked him for what he had done earlier. She asked his name. Our boy was flustered, so he couldn't easily answer. But eventually he manages to say his name. She told him to scoot over, and she dipped inside the tub. He looked really uncomfortable. Then she told him to turn around and lie down so she could check his wounds. He became redder when he felt her hand on his back. He couldn't understand why she had no concept of personal space. If that keeps up, Yi feels like he's going to. His thoughts were interrupted when she exclaimed that it was impressive. All his wounds had completely healed, and it didn't even leave a scar. She pats him on the back and commended his regeneration. The cockroach god appeared and stated that his heart rate had raised to 120 beats per minute and his testosterone level spiked. His blood flowed downwards. He asked if he should activate reproduction mode. Yi yelled, "No, absolutely not." She showed him her scar on her chest while she commented that the monster was brutal. She openly showed it to him, and his jaw dropped. The cockroach god did a countdown of the reproduction mode activation. Before it could reach the count to 1, Yi immediately stood up and left. Eileen was left confused. Little did she know she nearly saw what a cockroach guy in reproduction mode was like. Ye was now out of the bathroom and breathing heavily. He knew that if he stayed a second longer, he would have died of embarrassment. He blamed the system. He was then distracted when the news was on, and it talked about the recent spatial fluctuations detected near Minghai City. A small human outpost 50 kilometers away that was run by non-government forces has been attacked. It was where Ye used to live. He wondered if everyone died. The news anchor reported that by the time the extermination squad arrived in response to the distress signal, the entire outpost had already been abandoned. He realized that if he hadn't left, he'd probably be dead too. The public was warned that Abyss is portals to other worldly realms, and if they detected one, they should report to authorities immediately. The cockroach god told him to quit overthinking it. Then he told him he has good news. The squashed buddy, Little Fatty, was back to life. It was displayed as an imperial guard. Ye was intrigued with it. Cockroach god explained that from then on, Little Fatty is immortal, and no matter how many times it is crushed, as long as Ye is alive, it will always come back. Ye started to think it was overpowered, but he questioned how a cockroach that never dies is supposed to be a guard. The cockroach god told him that Little Fatty could also level up. At the moment, it can share its vision with him. He tapped the summon on the screen. The screen became pixelated. Little Fatty's hands started moving, and eventually he made it out. He happily greeted Ye, saying that he missed him so much. Ye had a smile on his face. The Little Fatty became sad when he saw that he became ugly since he now looked like a human. Ye was speechless. The cockroach god encouraged him to command it to fly around. Then he should also close his eyes and he'll sync with its vision. He saw Little Fatty make his way through the door and slipped into the cracks. He flew above the tub. You panicked and yelled at him to get out of there. Little Fat I reasoned that he could sense you had the urge to peek in there. Eileen sensed it. She let out a spider silk and wrapped Little Fatty with it. It made him melt, and he's gone. It made you bleed on his eyes, nose, and mouth. Then a fountain of blood bursted from his nose. The cockroach god forgot to say earlier that when he shared senses with Little Fatty, if it died, he'd suffer a backlash. The next day, the test report came out. Eileen told Yi that everything was normal. He looked at the report. Then she told him that he's free to go. Yi had this sullen look on his eyes. He placed the report down. Then in a serious tone, he expressed that he wants to join the extermination squad. She's confused when she heard that because their mortality rate is ridiculously high. He asked her if she thinks the survival rate for normal people is any better. He reasoned that he's an awakener too, and he wants to fight alongside them. He had clean records, so he thinks there shouldn't be a problem. He asked again if he could join or not. She stared at him. Then she informed him that the Extermination Squad's quadrennial selection tournament is in 7 days. She admits that his skills aren't bad, but there's a rumor that the competition that year was the toughest one in history. Our boy looked determined and requested that she let him handle it. He baited her by saying that she doesn't look like the type to ignore a life-saving debt. She told him to stand up. She admitted his shameless persistence, so she gave him a shot at special training. Little did they know that Corey watches them from the shadows. He was with a doctor, and the doctor asked why he requested him to forge Yi's medical report. The gene test showed that Yi wasn't human. Corey smiled and simply replied to keep it a secret for a bit longer. Inside the training base, there's an entrance to go to the abyss. We then see our boy being shocked about something. He just learned that the special training that Eileen told him is throwing him into the abyss. He wished it was a joke. The abyss is crawling with monsters, and the ones inside are way stronger than the ones outside. They say that even an entire army wouldn't stand a chance. He questioned how jumping into an abyss is considered training, and his teammates are just 4 teenagers. There was Justin, Lu Yao, Suk Kai, and Song Ao. Eileen informed them that each of the abyss connects to another world. Depending on how much that world has eroded into their world, the abyss is ranked from E-class to S-class in danger. The higher the rank, the stronger the monsters are and the bigger the area. She told them that the gate leads to an abyss already scouted by the Extermination Squad. She pressed a button. Then she stated that the Extermination Squad's job is to enter the abyss, clear out the monsters, and delay the other world's invasion into their world. She described the abyss as the tunnels left behind by the giant worms during the Great Cataclysm. She pressed another button and the entrance started glowing. Then she informed them that the portal had been opened. Among the group, Justin had the experience in the abyss, so she assigned him as the leader. He accepted. They entered the door and arrived at the silent dark jungle, which was classified as E-class. It was a luscious jungle, but also eerie. It was Ye's first time. A monkey with a snake tail spotted them. You couldn't believe it, and the spiders are large and the trees are massive and tall. He kept checking the surroundings. He questioned if he's still on Earth. He commented that stepping through the gate feels like entering another world. His teammates were speechless on how excited he is. Eventually, they started moving. Justin turned and threw his backpack to Yi. He warned him not to touch a single monster in the abyss, and that he should just stay behind them and carry their bags. Yi was confused. Justin thinks that the guy spent a night with the vice captain. Deep inside, he's furious that Yi made a move on his goddess. Yi was silent. Justin even got annoyed seeing him react like that. He asked if he didn't want to, but actually Ye was happy because not touching anything would mean he's safe. He enthusiastically carried their bags. Justin was left dumbfounded while Yi celebrated his safety. Justin thinks he has a loose screw in the head. He approaches the others to get their bags. The first one was the only female in the group. Yao. She coldly replied that she got it, and then they walked away. Deep inside, Ye couldn't understand why he's forbidden from hunting monsters. He thought that it wouldn't do any harm until he saw how Awakeners fight in the abyss. Yao used Heavenly Curtain Thunder Wrath. It electrocuted monsters in a wide area. Then Justin swung his sword and cut several monsters at once. The Awakeners' crystal weapons absorb monster abilities when they kill them in the abyss. It's like gaining experience in the game, and the more they kill, the faster they level up. Eventually, he learned that even the best Awakeners in his age group get exhausted from constant fighting. Justin had already killed 310 monsters, and he finally leveled up. But Ye was built differently. He puts on his table napkin and dined. It was like he's eating in a fancy restaurant, but it's simply eating the dead monsters around. From it, he acquired a trait called Snake Ape Long Arms. Basically, he doesn't need to kill monsters. He just eats a piece of them and gains their traits. He kept eating, and more traits had been acquired and boosted, like toxic resistance, jungle adaptation, and sunlight affinity. His belly was full. He burped out loud as he lay on the ground with his belly bulging out. He made up his mind that if he joins the Extermination Squad, he's going straight to logistics. He felt so good watching the others fight while he grew stronger just by eating. The cockroach god appeared and suggested that he should praise him. He raised his arms and waved. The exhausted awakener saw him. They were annoyed that they are fighting for their lives, and he's just having a buffet in the back, still in the silent dark jungle. A monster ran. It was a jungle heavy-horned beast. It was charging at another monster, the king of snake-tailed monkeys. In just a bump from it, the king of snake-tailed monkeys was thrown in the air and bled. Ye watched secretly. He recognized that it was the Abyss's final boss. From just watching it take down the near night-level king of snake-tailed monkeys like it's nothing, Ye felt overwhelmed. He recognized the rank difference and the gap in power. Justin told them that they got it as long as everyone sticks to his plan. Despite being a rookie team, he's determined to take it down. Ye remembered what Eileen said. If he gets hurt, crippled, or worse because he ignored the rules and charged in recklessly, health insurance won't cover that. He told them that Eileen warned them not to fight the boss. With that, he's out. Justin grabbed his collar and yelled that no one needs a loser like him anyways. He ordered him to just go sit in the safe zone and guard their bags. Yao stayed quiet. Justin pointed at the map and told him to stay put in there. He carried their bags, walked away, and wished them good luck. Kai and Tao were pleased. Yao knew that the spot that the captain sent Yi to was the ambush point for the final battle. Justin replied that it was intentional. He added that he already stuffed explosives into the 4 backpacks that Yi is carrying, and once the boss locks onto him, he'll set off the explosives. Then they would swoop in and clean up what's left. He didn't have any remorse when he stated that all it takes is one useless teammate. Yao expressed that it's messed up. But as soon as she said this, something happened. The captain didn't hesitate to point his sword at her. This edgy guy told her to cut the pity act, and he's only going to let it slide once. Back to our MC, Ye arrived at the so-called safe zone. To his surprise, the ground shook. He wondered if the fight was that intense for him to hear it all the way there. He sensed something. He turned pale. Something moved so fast, several monkeys ran past him. He was confused that it did. Then a tree snapped in half. He turned around and saw the boss monster running. Its sharp horn pierced Yi. He coughed tons of blood as the boss monster ran over several trees until it hit the mountain. Yi questioned why it was there. At this point, his body was already pierced with its horn. The cockroach god detected fatal injury. He expelled foreign objects and began repairs. Yi asked where everyone was. He asked if the whole team was wiped out. A flamed arrow was shot. It landed near the bag. It lit up dynamite. Yi thought it was a rocket. Then it made him think about what's really in the bag. When he realized it was explosives, it was too late since it already exploded. He blacked out, but his consciousness was there, realizing that he's ditched again and used as a bait. The explosion was huge. The other 4 watched it from a cliff. Justine laughed out loud. He commented that Yi's face was priceless. He told them that once the explosions are done, they will go down and finish the boss. He was happy to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yao saw something, she informed the captain. Justin turned pale. The explosions ended. The smoke slowly vanishes and it revealed Ye in one piece. His eyes glowed in yellow. Justin couldn't believe it. Ye was still alive. He finally took the horn out from his torso and his skin was restored. He was furious. He lifted the large monster just by holding on its horns. Justin was taken aback. Our boy then threw the monster at them while yelling that he's not easy to kill. When it collided with the cliff, it created a massive explosion. Justin braced himself for the impact. One person called the captain. It was Tao. Half of his body got squeezed and he sought help. They were surprised to see him. Justin deemed that he's done for. He advises the others that if they don't want to die, they should focus on taking down the boss first. He pointed his sword at Tao. Tao begged him not to do it, but he used his trait of flesh-bursting arrows. Tao's cheeks expanded and he exploded beneath the monster, and that caused the monster to roar loudly. The monster lifted itself up. Justin instructed the other 2 to attack. Kai covered his hand with flames, and he released a whirlwind of flames towards it. Yao released electricity and electrocuted the boss monster. It chirped loudly. Justin saw that it was almost down. He grinned as he thought that it isn't nearly as strong as the legends made it out to be. He thinks it made sense because if that idiot could toss it around like a rag doll, he doubted its strength. He charges forward with his large sword. The monster withstood the flame and the lightning attack. It stood with 2 feet. Justin was taken aback. The flame and lightning combined with the horn. Yao turned pale when she realized that it just absorbed their energy. She told them to stop using elemental attacks because the more they hit it, the stronger it gets. Justin realized that they couldn't win because it was too strong. He noticed Kai. His brows furrowed. Then he smacked Kai from behind. Kai was surprised. He collapsed. Yao couldn't believe Justin, but Justin targeted her next. And she collapsed too. Justin told them that they are just getting in the way, so they might as well be useful before they die, that they should be grateful instead. Then he ran away. The boss monster approached the collapsed people. It raised its foot and squashed Kai to death. It was about to do the same to Yao. But something moved so fast, it was none other than Ye. He ran so fast and grabbed Yao. She asked him why he only saved her. He stared at her. Then he replied that back then, she's the only one who didn't bully her and didn't let him carry her backpack. Ye had this thought that because he's weak in his past life, people treated him like cannon fodder without a second thought. And now, as a cockroach, he's weak again. Forced to lead the way and die for the bigger roaches. He also didn't provoke anyone. And yet, he's still betrayed. He learned that in that world, only the strong have the right to control their own fate. So, he's determined to get stronger. Someone called him and asked for help. It was Justin. The monster had trapped this __, beneath its foot. Yi reminded him of his words. That not a single monster should get touched by him. Then he grinned at him. Justin got furious, and just like that he's squashed. Ye turned his attention to Yao. He used a sleep-inducing pollen. The pollen of the tranquil bloom causes unconsciousness when inhaled in large amounts. He knew it best to keep his monster abilities for now. So the only ones left are him and the boss monster. He faced it. Our boy was just aura framing at this moment and announced that he's going to use it as his stepping stone to power. The monster got ready to charge. Ye extended its tongue until it grabbed on a branch. His snap tongue trait got activated, and because of it, he's able to help himself up so he could evade the running monster. He had absorbed so many traits until that point, and he knew it was time for it to be put to use. He activated the mantis scythe. The forelimbs of a rainforest mantis is capable of slicing through prey with ease. A few rocks had cracked, but when he tried to slice through the monster, it was so tough. Even after enhancing his scythe, cutting the boss isn't going to be easy. But even if its outer shell evolved into armor, he saw the abdomen that looked like a weak spot. He stabbed it and it bled. It roared loudly. Yi became positive that it might work, but the monster set its eyes on him. It turned and threw him in the air. He bounced on the ground while bleeding and eventually collided with the mountain. He coughed blood. He realized that despite its big size, it was fast. The boss monster released electricity through its horns and tried to zap him with it. He knew it was bad. It landed on where he's. It was so powerful that it covered a wide area. Smoke covered the forest. When the smoke was gone, it revealed that the tree had snapped. The monster was surprised at what it saw. Ye's arms became wooden. He activated the skilled trance skin. The wooden skin of a trant is highly resistant to electricity, but extremely weak to fire. And, just as Yi thought, no matter how strong a monster is, there's always something in its environment that can counter it. He knew that despite it being able to block attacks, he would still need a finisher. He was set on his move. He activated long arms to grab Justin's sword. He knew that the next strike would decide everything. He lifted his foot, and when he stomped on the ground, he activated Trent Vines. It is a weapon trents use to ensnare their prey. And when they move in groups, they sprout countless vines. And those vines are capable of trapping any creature in the jungle. The monster roared loudly as the vines covered its body. Yi attacked. He gave his all on that move. But the boss monster was also determined to survive. It broke free from the vines. You couldn't believe it. There was no time for him to dodge now. He activated his elastic muscles and strengthened his muscles. The sword clashed with the monster's horn and it broke. You had to step back. When he saw the condition of the sword, he threw it away. He watched the monster and saw it running towards him. Ye was confident that the fight would end as he had acquired the trait that would take it down. He devoured a stone. It was the beast's sharp horn. He activated it and his whole body transformed. He was covered in armor and had a large spiky blade on both of his arms. He moved quickly. The monster met him heat-in. A blinding light appeared as soon as they clashed. Eventually, Ye was left panting. They destroyed a wide portion of the forest. Ye bled, but he successfully defeated the monster. A key suddenly appeared. It is a key to a secret realm. Using that item within the time limit grants access to a secret realm. He had no idea what the secret realm was. Meanwhile, outside the abyss, a training accident was reported. There were 3 dead, 1 critically injured and unconscious, and 1 with minor injuries. They immediately called the medics. A person grabbed someone by the collar. An officer angrily ordered Ye to speak about what happened in the abyss. He questioned why he's the one alive. You had no idea what to say. He thought of just saying that he just got lucky, but knew that it was too fake. Someone tapped the officer on the shoulder. It was Corey, and he uttered that it seemed like the military suspected his vice captain's recruit. He added that if that is how it seemed, then it's like saying he's the one behind the whole disaster. Ye was surprised to hear that from him. The officer got flustered and tried to explain that it's just that all casualties were military-selected recruits, so it seemed natural. Corey glanced at Ye. He told the officer that it was enough since nobody enters a dungeon expecting 0 deaths. He expressed that he's glad that it isn't what he meant. Then he dismissed Ye. Ye didn't say a word. Later on, he went to the rooftop and relaxed there. He wondered if the captain deliberately covered for him just because he got recommended by the vice captain. He knew that it's no use overthinking. What matters to him is knowing about the secret realm. The cockroach god appeared and explained that it is a hidden dimension inside the abyss, and he can only enter it using the key in his hand. So, technically, it is not something humans can normally obtain. But since his DNA is almost identical to a monster, the Abyss classified his fight with the boss monster as a territory battle between monsters. That's why he received it. He concluded that it's an exclusive dungeon for him to get stronger. The cockroach god replied yes, but emphasized that the monsters inside are far deadlier than what he had faced so far. Plus, he'll have to deal with whatever entity originally granted the horned beast that key. He stated that it could be like that mushroom monster from before because it's one of the intelligent creatures guarding the Abyss's core secrets. Yi asked the purpose of the countdown. He replied that if he doesn't use the key within 24 hours, it will disappear. He asked him if he's going. Ye looked at the key and replied yes. But before that, he had something to take care of first. After all, he might die there in one of the apartments. Ye was outside on his knees asking Eileen for a date. Eileen kicked him. She's furious that he dared to mess with her. She's ready to punch him again if he said it again. But he seriously asked her for a date again. And she responded with her fist. She punched him left and right. He bled a lot. She dared him to say it again. Even with the swollen cheeks and black eyes, he said it again. She pouted as she saw the look in his eyes. She knew that look since it was the same as those soldiers before their final mission, trying to fulfill one last regret before they die. Then she laughed out loud. She commented that he had guts and agreed to go. I bet some of you are jealous right now. Go and ask your crushes for a date. Anyway, first our boy and Eileen went to a cafe. They drank from a cup with 2 straws. They watched a horror movie. Yi clinged to her when he got scared. Then on a photo booth. They took fun photos and rode a bike along the beach during sunset. Ye was happy to have his first date. He had been planning that for nearly 20 years. He stated that every little detail has been perfected except that he never had a girl to take on a date. But now he can die with no regrets. She watched him. Eventually she stopped pedaling and called him. Eileen told him that she had seen so many faces of soldiers before they died. And no matter how many final wishes they fulfill, nothing beats staying alive. She admits that she might not know what happened to him in the abyss or what's going on in his head, but she told him that instead of planning how to die without regrets, he should live so that in that way he might actually get the life he wants. Yu was taken aback with her words. He's silent, and after a few moments, he replied by saying, "Thank you." She hoped that next time he will have the courage to ask her out again. At nighttime, the cockroach god was not pleased that the only thing he wanted was a date. Yu took out the key and it cracked. A portal started to form. It opened. As he entered it, he knew the cockroach wouldn't understand. But it was his own way of closing a chapter on his past life. And with that, he's fully gone. The portal closed. He arrived in the secret realm, Darkwood Forest. Our boy can't believe it. In front of him is a giant snake-tailed monkey with a Guardian-class danger level. This was the same species earlier from the training ground, except its danger level was definitely higher. The old him would have run, but now it's different. Yi activated his heavy-horned beast's sharp horn. Then he charges forward. He looked like a bug compared to the humongous monster. In swift motions, he slashed its arm and made it bleed. He went for its nape, but another one appeared behind and caught his leg. He was thrown and clashed with a tree. He groaned in pain. Several monsters of the same kind charged towards him. One monster caught him with both of its hands and ripped him in half. His upper body got separated from his lower body. Then he fell on a branch of a tree. Yi breathes heavily. He activated a sleep-inducing pollen and the smoke covered the branch where he landed. Then he started growing his body parts. The undying skill got activated. He noticed that the monkeys were only slightly weaker than the jungle heavy-horned beast, but there were too many of them. Without the undying trait, the last hit would have killed him. He realized that he can't beat them in a head-on fight. Then he realized that the Secret Realm's environment is similar to the Abyss, and it would mean that there should also be predators that counter those monkeys. He thought of how the monkey was taken down before. The pollen dispersed, and the monkeys saw him on the branch. He planned to lure the monkeys into their predator's territory. He activated a frog leap. He jumped on the next branch while thinking that he still has a chance. The monkeys roared loudly and chased after him. He moved quickly until a monkey had grabbed his foot, but he targeted it using corrosive mucus to escape its grip. You noticed something. He found what he's looking for. It was those spiders. It was called Giant Hunter Spider and its Guardian class. Yi changed form. He looked like a bird. Then he activated White-tailed Grouse Feather. The spider noticed him. He flew to a branch above those spider webs. He had to disguise himself like that, a natural predator of spiders so it wouldn't attack him. He felt fortunate to have absorbed many traits from the past corpses. And now it's paying off. Then he noticed something. The monkey monsters that were chasing him got tangled and the spiders slowly crawled down from the branches. The monkeys roared loudly. The spider extends its arms and stabbed it. The monkey was in agony. Its mouth was frothing. Yi watched them from the shadows. He saw how the snake-tailed monkeys are being overwhelmed by their natural predator. But he's aware that hunter spiders usually hunt by trapping isolated prey. And at the moment, a whole troop of monkeys just charged straight into their territory. The spiders hissed. The rumble started. And chaos like that is exactly what Ye needed. He activated Mantis Scythe. Two spiders ganged up on a monkey and Ye was coming towards them. He slashed the spider first, followed by the monkey. He strikes the stragglers and even the playing field for the weaker side so that the battle drags on. He chomped at a monkey's finger and swallowed its flesh. He used the chance to absorb traits, but nothing happened to his body. He asked why it wasn't working. The cockroach god called him an idiot for thinking that the power was that simple. He told him that he can't just bite a random monster and expect to get stronger. To acquire stronger traits, he needs to devour specific parts of his enemies. He offered to market for him. The arm of the monkey was highlighted. The screen showed him that the trait is located in the giant ape's biceps. He munched on it. Then he acquired the new trait called Snake Ape Long Arms, an upgrade to giant snake ape arms. He watched the chaos in a chaotic battlefield. He knew that he would have plenty of time to keep evolving. He also acquired endurance enhancement and venomous spider stinger. He also got paralytic venom and paralysis resistance. When he's done eating, it was time for him to clean up. He slashed several monkeys at once. By the time he's done, it was dusk. He arrived at a certain place. The door was made out of stone and was fiery red. And behind that door is the boss's territory. He could feel that aura coming from inside, and it's insanely strong. He noticed something. Something was piled up on the side. He asked what it was. He took an orange maruk. The cockroach god told him that it's the Secret Realms marble, which can be found in monster graveyards unique to Secret Realms. Basically, it's an ultra-rare magic crystal. Over the years, it has absorbed the residual energy of countless dead monsters. It contains an immense amount of energy. The cockroach informed Yi that he can absorb it all at once or use half its power to tear open a rift and safely exit the secret realm. He contemplated and thought about his options to play it safe or to gamble everything for more power. But he knew that it's his best chance to evolve, and if he backs out now, he knew he might not get another opportunity like that. He hasn't faced the boss yet, so there's no way he's running away already. When he entered, he saw a room surrounded by fire, and in front of him was the boss monster sitting on a throne. It was called the Heavy-Horned Beastman. The danger level is unknown. He was surprised that he couldn't see it, but even from that far away, he can feel the terrifying pressure. It was truly a secret realm boss. It spoke to ask him if he's the one who slaughtered its kin. Ye was surprised that it can talk. He realized that the kin it's referring to is the heavy-horned beast from the abyss. He wondered if these monsters have a society like humans. Then in an instant, the boss monster charged at him, and the ground shattered. Flames erupted. The boss monster knew that it didn't hit its target. It also finds our MC strange. It was because our boy had already transformed and activated the giant snake money arm. The monster knew that the connection to that world hadn't even opened yet. He asked how a human like him was able to get in. Ye was shocked to find out that it was trying to connect the secret realm to Earth. Ye doesn't want to think anymore, so he just lets this boss monster talk. It glared at him, and in a blink of an eye, it punched him. Ye's eyes turned white as he coughed blood, and he collided with a pillar. The impact was so powerful that he created a dent on it. His torso was slit open. Undying skill immediately activated and damage recovery started. The boss monster noticed him. When it saw the recovery speed, it said that he was more like them. It found it interesting. It decided to cut him open and study him. When it was about to strike again, Ye's dynamic vision activated, and the perception of high-speed targets were enhanced. He saw the stake approaching. Ye watches it. Though the strength of this boss monster is terrifying, he could tell that its attacks are really simple. He evaded the attack and ran to punch it. He knew that fighting up close would give him the edge. He activated corrosive slime. He wanted to get the boss monster's trait, but before he could reach it, it already smacked him away. The boss monster admits that the spear was a pain to use, and it prefers punching instead. Ye was on the ground, and it punched him nonstop. Dust covered the area. It eventually stopped, and the dust was cleared. Ye looked badly hurt, but the monster could tell that he's alive. Ye was thankful that the elastic muscles absorbed most of the hit. The boss monster took its spear. It expressed that it's boring now. It planned to stab him with the spear covered in fire. It moved so fast, but Yi managed to block it with his forearms. Hardened skin activated. It is a tough skin from the jungle heavy-horned beast back armor and can self-repair and provides extreme defense. It tried to attack again, but Yi was able to deflect it just by his own body. The cockroach god appeared and stated that the hardened skin is melting from the flames. He told him that they can still use the secret realm gem to retreat, but Yi refused to believe that he had lost. He saw an opening and immediately jumped. Then he activated the giant monkey R fist. The boss monster spun the spear in the air and its movement blasted Ye away. He collided with a pillar. The flame rose and scattered everywhere as controlled by the boss monster. It locked its eyes on Yi and released the flame towards him. Our boy saw it approaching, so he jumped to avoid it. But the flame chased after him. He activated a frog leap to evade those flames, but he couldn't dodge all of it, and his thigh was pierced. Undying skill has been activated, but the wound is taking continuous damage that renders recovery disabled. He turned pale when he realized that Undying's insane regeneration won't work. The boss monster told him that he will melt him down. He faced the flames heated and yelled that he will take the boss down with him. He activated a heavy-horned beast spear, then he charged at it. At this point, he's already frustrated. He targeted the horn. His blade created a crack on it. But the monster just stared at him. Ye was surprised. His blade was stuck while the monster collected flame in its spear. Ye was engulfed with flame. It was followed by his loud scream. Even when he fell on the ground, his body kept burning. The cockroach god told him that it's not a monster that he could beat. He doesn't want him to throw away his life. He forcibly used the secret realm gem to open an emergency escape portal, but to his surprise, Ye smacked it away, and the gem fell and shattered. He got annoyed, but Ye was determined as he expressed that he already made peace with dying a long time ago. The cockroach god was speechless. Red mist covered Ye. It made the fire die out. He ordered to surround the boss monster. His body glowed in yellow. Then he moved with a lightning speed. The boss monster got confused on what happened. He could sense power from him pouring out like a tidal wave. The system screen acknowledges that Ye didn't run from certain death. With that, he had passed the second trial of the cockroach god. His fighter form has been unlocked. He exudes powerful wind from his body when he transforms. He checked his hand. His whole body showed muscles with hard amortype stones on some parts like his chest, genitals, shin. He could feel a new power surging through his body. He asked what exactly that fighter form is. The cockroach god replied that it is a state that allows his traits to evolve freely. He wasn't done talking when Ye got distracted because flames are on its way to him. The boss monster used his trait called Lava Burst Stream and lava erupted. The area was filled with steam. Fortunately, Ye was unharmed. The cockroach god continued to explain that the armor in fighter form fuses cockroach carapace, elastic mutant toad skin, and the hardened hide of the jungle heavy-horned beast. And as he gains new traits later, it can keep upgrading. Ye was amazed that even the concentrated lava burst stream barely scratched the outermost layer. He was impressed with the biological composite armor. The boss monster was confident that he wouldn't survive that barrage. But Ye's hand appeared. That surprised the boss monster, and it hit him before he knew it. Ye had used a giant snake monkey arm combined with elastic muscles. So basically, it became a long-range snake monkey arm fist. The cockroach god had informed him that in fighter form, he can activate multiple traits at once and chain them into combo skills. There's also no cooldown between trait switches. Ye realized that combining traits lets him hit them with attacks he'd never expect. And in fighter form, his strength, stamina, and agility increased tenfold. He felt incredible. The boss monster was speechless because there's not even a scratch on him. He couldn't believe it. So, he attacked again. Ye watched him carefully, and he combined dynamic vision and elastic muscles, plus mantis scythe blade. With that, he easily deflected the boss monster spear. After doing that, he stretched his legs and kicked the boss monster. And while the boss monster is in the air, he extends his fingers and wrapped it on the boss monster's arms and legs. Then he pulled down, making the boss monster crush on the ground with a powerful impact. The boss monster couldn't believe it. He got angry. He punched him, but Ye met him with his fist. It looked like they're in equal footing now. But this monster got overpowered. It ends up trembling in front of him. He glanced at his spear. He struggled to reach it. He has a plan in his mind that would risk a reset of world expansion progress. He pierced the ground and lava burst out in an attempt to recover all his power. Ye was taken aback. The lava sprawled across on the floor. In no time, Ye was surrounded by the lava. The boss monster laughed at him and told him that he'll regret killing him just then because that was his last chance. Ye assumed a combat stance. He watched him using his skill. In his fighter form, he can directly see an enemy's weak points and extractable trait zones. The stronger the trait, the brighter it glows. Ye got ready to move. He disappeared from his spot in an instant. The boss monster wondered where he went. In a blink of an eye, Ye's foot was already in its face and Ye kicked it powerfully. The boss monster crashed on the rocks. It was surprised to the point that it called Ye a monster. Ye's recent move was a combination of frog leap and mantis scythe. Then our boy picked up something from the ground and ate it. The boss monster stood up again as it had already recovered its power. It activated Molten Spiral. It's a wave of lava that could burn Ye into ashes. It claimed its victory as it unleashed the swirling lava towards Ye's direction. Ye exudes golden glow from its body. The lava is coming closer, but with just one swing of his blade, it disperses. The boss monster couldn't believe it. Ye held a spear that came from the boss monster's horn. He commented that the horn tasted like black pepper sauce, and then he exclaimed, "I freaking love it. The boss monster got spooked with his devilish grin. It fell on its butt and crawled away from him while calling its mommy. He described Ye as a monster who eats other monsters. Ye asked the boss monster if it could take on its own ultimate move. The system showed that the trait Heavy-Horned Beast's Sharp Horn was upgraded to Heavy-Horned Beastman's Sharp Horn. It also gained a molten attribute. Ye's Heavy-Horned Beastman's Sharp Horn can now be summoned in lance form. Ye used the skill of Scorching Heaven Molten Spiral. The boss monster begged him not to do it, but it didn't stop Ye. It made the boss monster scream out loud. It kept screaming as the lava enveloped it and nothing was left of its body. Smoke covered the area. Ye stood in the center of that. Then an oblong marble with a monster inside appeared. He asked what it was. The cockroach god informed him that it is a monster seal, a rare drop only from Secret Realm Lord-class monsters. Using it unlocks the monster record for the Imperial Iron Guard, which allows transformation into that monster. Yi realized that little Fatty would now be of use. He poked the marble and it shattered. Then the screen showed that Fatty had obtained the Heavy-Horned Beastman record. Yi was prompted to summon the Imperial Iron Guard. He replied yes. Fatty came out of the screen. It slowly transformed and became similar to the boss monster earlier. Fatty was confused as to why Ye looked smaller. Ye was amazed at what he saw. His two-man army is becoming more up than Fatty knelt in front of him, and a screen appeared above it. It showed his race, a Heavy-Horned Beastman at a Guardian class. Even Fatty couldn't believe that it was his new form. He commented that it's ugly. The cockroach god replied that the transformation isn't just on the external, because when you defeat stronger monsters and unlock their records, Fatty's power will scale with them, too. Something snapped. It was the pillar behind them. It's falling on them. Fatty gathered strength and effortlessly stopped the pillar from squashing them. Then it placed it on the side. It cried though because it's now huge and can't fit on doors anymore, which made it think that it's already useless. Yai bonked it and told it to pull itself together. It was expected to evolve while staying by his side, so he wanted to also see what it got. With that, Fatty lifted its hand and summoned a lance. Then it attacked. The same attack that sent him flying a while ago was just blocked by using his forearms. Our boy Fatty also didn't hold back, as its lance released lava after the contact. Ye came out of it unscathed with steam on his body. He was surprised, because not even the boss's flame attacks did that kind of damage. Cockroach God looked proud as it stated that Fatty doesn't need to spend energy for maintaining the secret realm. So, it's currently at 100% Lord state. He takes pride in how strong the Imperial Iron God really is. Ye ordered Fatty to return. Ye was pleased that his strongest current trait, the Heavy-Horned Beast's Sharp Horn, had evolved again, and now it carries the molten attribute. In addition to that, Fatty can transform into a Heavy-Horned Beastman and can now fight Hedon. He saved it to be his hidden card for turning the tide when needed. He had risked his life to do whatever he can, and now he's about to face the selection tournament. He believes that with the traits he acquired and a full-power Secret Realm Lord ready to fight anytime, he's confident that he can handle whatever trial they throw at him. He's positive that he'll make it into the extermination squad. 3 days later at the arena, someone entered. There were so many people inside, and of course, our boy was among them. While the crowd cheered from the benches, he's overwhelmed by how many people there were. There were a lot of people in the audience, too. Ye heard someone say that the Extermination Squad Selection Tournament is the most important event in New Rai City. It wasn't just recruiting new members into the squad, but also a political battlefield for the New Rai power struggle. Eileen and Corey watched through a glass window. Eileen stated that the city's major families each sent a representative to compete, and the tournament winner directly determines which family takes the speaker seat for the next 4 years to control the city's power. Some black-robed men passed by Yi. He noticed them. The guy with an eye patch is Bao. The B family controls nearby city's intelligence bureau, and the ones competing with him are all elite operatives. Another powerful candidate is Tony Olaf, who represents the military. He's the favorite to win that year's tournament. Eileen is aware that the military plans to turn the extermination squad to a supporting department, giving them full control over Nei's armed forces. Hao and Tony met, and Tony told him that the tournament will decide whether the Olaf family secures their 4th term in the office. He doesn't have to mention how high the stakes are. Hao simply replied that the B family will continue to support the Olaf family as usual. Suddenly, the crowd got excited. A woman walked in. She is the saintess of the Esper Church Karen year, and it is her first public appearance. There was an intel that Karen's ability is a kind of hypnosis or mind control. That's why her followers wear blindfolds to avoid making eye contact with her. A group of weird people were beside. They looked more like a monster with their eyes blindfolded, torso and hands tied up, and they had weird posture. Just by looking at those followers, you could tell that something looked off. Eileen acknowledged that the church benefits them for now. This is because remote regions rely on their influence for stability, and they also need their research to better understand espers. Even Tony and Howa watched Karen. Howe didn't expect that the church would actually send their saints to compete. Tony told him not to worry about her because she's not their target. He looked at a short guy with a white robe and stated that the boy in uniform wearing glasses is the one that they should focus on. It's Zhang family's representative, Zhang Jie. Upon closer look, Jie looked overwhelmed. Tony asked him if the Zhang family couldn't send someone else and ended up sending out the useless young master. He gave off a scary vibe and offered Jie a deal that if he drops out now and surrenders, they might just let the Zhang family keep one honorary seat in the parliament. Z replied that even if they are stripped of their seats, they will never become the military's lapdog. But Tony stated that it doesn't matter because soon Nirai City will only have 3 major families left. Just from watching them from a distance, you could tell that their relationship looks tense. Eileen stated that the Zhang family runs the Esper Technology Research Institute and they are allies of the extermination squad. She also knew that Jie is the weakest of the 4 representatives and the military is going to seize the Zhang family seat and expand their influence further in parliament. She told E through the mic that the captain hopes that he'll rank high in the tournament so they'll have a chance to protect the Zhang family. E replied that he'll do his best. Then she took out the earpiece and asked the commander if he really believes in E. Deep inside, she knew that if the military took full control of the parliament, they would be in trouble. The commander replied that he saved Yao, came back alive from the abyss. It just showed that he had some skills. The fireworks have been lit up. The crowd rejoiced. They watched the center of the arena as vines crawled on the ground and a flower bloomed and revealed Haley Carmen. She welcomed everyone and introduced herself as the Round 1 examiner. She discussed that the tournament has 3 rounds of assessment. The first one is called Extreme Climb. Behind her is a mountain path with 100 stone steps. Reaching just the 10th step counts as passing, but based on the past results, 2/3 of the examinees will die on the climb. The examinees' jaws dropped in shock. Haley assured them that Squad 10 of the extermination squad will do everything possible to ensure their safety, but they are still advised to proceed with caution. She announced the first round of the exam. To begin, a lot of examinees hesitated to move. One man forced himself despite the scary feeling. He rushed to climb while saying that there's nothing difficult in climbing. The rest got inspired and followed. They ran ahead. Some of the ones who didn't rush were Karen and Z, also Hayu and Tony. He commented that those are a bunch of fools for charging in when they don't even know how they're going to die yet. One man in front scoffed at the elites of the 4 families for teaming up like trembling puppies. He claimed that he will be the victor for that round. He kept climbing. Then his surroundings changed. That surprised him. They were transported to a city. They got confused, but in reality, they're still there on the steps and they acted like a statue. Yi asked why they're frozen like that. Haley knew that the test isn't just about physical climbing. The 100 steps were built from the bones of a Ghost King-class monster. It was one of the strongest creatures humanity had ever defeated. Even as bones, it can trap anyone who steps on it in an illusion, preventing them from reaching the top. And if they don't find a way to escape the illusion soon, the examinees saw that they're being devoured by monsters. And that is how they met their deaths. Haley had announced that those examinees have been eliminated. She used Resurrection Halo on them. Yui was surprised that those players were all dead. Eileen wore the earpiece again and explained that each illusion has its own goal. Whether it's surviving until a timer ends, reaching a specific location, or defeating a certain monster. As long as he fulfills the condition, he'll be able to escape the illusion. She couldn't contact him inside the illusion, so he'll have to rely on his own judgment. Tony told his squad to remember their mission to be the one who climbs the highest. Synchronously, they stepped on the first one. Tony braced himself. He was transported to a fiery mountain and a timer appeared. The flames swirled and it formed a dragon. He realized that the illusion was designed specifically to counter his abilities. But Tony thought lightly of it since his job is to just hold out for 5 minutes. The squad was with him, and they proceeded with Plan 1. They released water from their hands, while others act like firefighters. Tony stood there. Then he snapped his fingers. A chunk of ice came from the ground and pierced the dragon, and it vanishes. The military team was able to proceed. Corey was impressed. He noticed that there isn't any resistance either. So he thinks the subordinates are awakened, too. He commented that the military is really throwing everything into winning that year. Eileen wondered how the commander was still so calm. He told her that she shouldn't get nervous yet. He told them that the first 10 steps are just for filtering out the rookies who aren't extermination squad material. So for those elite candidates, it's barely a warm-up, but the higher they climb, the harder the illusions become. Eventually, they will run out of subordinates to sacrifice. And that's when the real showdown begins. He stated that to reach the summit, they either unleash one technique that can overpower 100, pushing their ability to its absolute limit, or they need a mindset that adapts calmly to anything thrown their way. The audience noticed that there's still someone in the launch zone. They wondered if he chickened out and quit. They were talking about Ye. Ye opened his eyes and he started climbing the stairs. The first illusion has been created. He was slipping down an icy cliff and he's falling. He took out his lance and pierced it on the side of the cliff. It eventually helped him to stop falling. Then he sensed something. A blue bird with a large mouth appeared. He was in a dire state since he's placed on a frictionless cliff that standing up is impossible. And now a flying monster attacked him from above. The system screen appeared. Ye tapped on attack, then venomous stinger, then sticky tongue snap. He used all of that combo and gained a stinger whip. It absorbs the lightning from the bird. It glowed blue and the attack was reflected on the bird, causing it to be badly injured, and it fell on the bottom of the cliff. Ye finds it easy. He was able to proceed on climbing. He thought of how these illusion monsters look intimidating, but their strengths are on par with grunts from the silent shade jungle. He recalled Eileen's intel, mentioning that near the summit, the monsters reach Guardian class. He was confident that on his current level, he can handle them. He took another step. The illusions started again. It was a maze this time. Illusions built like that are always the toughest, completely unpredictable terrain. If someone encounters an enemy that counters their powers, they would probably be stuck. But that didn't really concern RMC as he used the spear's lava ability to burn a large area that cleared a path for him. And with that, he immediately saw the exit. Ye was confident since his abilities can adapt to any environment. He charges straight through. The man beside him climbed up 2 steps and thinks he's showing off because he started last on purpose, acting like a main character. Ye stepped again. He ascended really fast. The men whom he passed by were shocked. They asked how it was even fair. One person even commented that he's a beast. The other man begged Ye to take him too. He was the one who called Ye a show-off. The other 2 who heard that gave him a sharp look. They took out their anger on him for saying that, and now they think they lost the chance to be carried. Corey commented that Ye was faster than he expected. At that rate, he could actually reach the summit. Eileen seemed worried about it because she saw him as a clueless, thick-skinned rookie not long ago. And now he's aiming for something not even the commander could achieve under the bright sky. The 4 from the elite companies were on the lead. Haley announced that Haoyu has finished the course with a score of 38 steps. Karen had completed 35 steps and the current highest score is 40 steps, and it was Tony. He glanced behind him and saw Jay was out of breath. He was frustrated. His Lackeus had already been eliminated. He's now alone. Tony had timed their entry into the illusion to match his, then they ambushed him. He was feeling down because he only had reached 31 steps and were still 9 short of their family's highest records. He wondered if that's how it would end. They called him Tony, ordered him to bark like a dog 10 times and withdraw, and their family would still be able to keep 1 seat in the parliament. He offered him to do just 1 sacrifice. She's in tears. He cried as he bit his lip until he heard something. Ye caught up to them. It surprised Tony, especially when Ye was alone, unlike them who had subordinates to sacrifice. He asked who it was. Ye kept climbing. Z was impressed on how strong he is and thought that if only they knew someone like that in Near City, they would have begged him to represent them instead. Through the earpiece, Eileen told him to help Zay. But our boy kept going. It made her wonder if he couldn't hear her. One of Tony's subordinates was impressed, and of course that person was scolded by Tony, especially when the Olaf family spent a fortune training them and holding the line for moments like that. He told them to follow him as they go up a few more levels. He aimed to beat their family's 50-step record. Eventually, the last two subordinates fell. He knew he's being reckless, but he's making progress fast. Then it made him wonder where the kid went. To his surprise, he was already right behind him. The shock made him ugly. Then Ye moved past him and told him that second place is all for Tony. It angered Tony. Ye turned around and asked him why he quit chasing after him. He taunted him by saying that a real man doesn't quit that easily. That triggered Tony even more. At noon, Haley announced that Ye is now on lead with 60 steps. Then he reached 82 steps. He's at 99 steps. At that point, he's tied with the commander's highest record. One more and he reaches the summit. The crowd got excited as they will be witnessing history. At the same time, they all got curious on who that kid is. One examinee cried that he lost. The casino boss recognized E. He remembered when Ye bets all his organs on himself winning. And seeing Ye's progress, he knew that he's ruined. Before claiming the last step, Ye had something to say. He arrogantly asked if that was all there is to it. Unexpectedly, he heard a static sound from the earpiece. Eileen yelled at him to quit showing off. She's angry because she told him to help Ja and yet he ignored her. She told him that with just one round, he's so full of himself. He replied that he'd complete the mission as promised. He moved, but he's going downwards. Everyone was confused about what he's doing, when he should be returning via a safe path to avoid more illusions. Tony saw him coming. Ye taunted him by asking why he's not on the 50th step yet. Tony got annoyed. To him, it felt like he came back just to humiliate him. He stopped in front of Jay. He towered over him. Jay was confused on what's going on. Ye grabbed him. To his surprise, he got carried over his shoulder. Tony couldn't believe that Ye was going to drag a dead weight upwards. On top of that, he's going solo in a two-person difficulty illusion. In no time, the illusion started. Lava filled the surroundings. They would have burned if not for the barrier that Ye puts up. They cleared that and were given another illusion. This time they fought monsters in the forest. Ye carried Jay as he dangled on a branch. The next illusion that followed is on the sea. Sea monsters tried to eat them. Ye transformed into a bird and 11 clings to him to avoid being eaten. She's thinking to help out in any way he could just so he wouldn't be a burden. But Ye reacts unbelievably fast that before she could even adjust to the dizziness from entering the illusion, he's already on the move. And that's when he realized that the best thing he could do is shut up and hang on like a proper accessory to be of help to him. The sun was up high in the sky. They landed on another step. At this point, Gi was already panting. He reached the 50th step. Ye told him that as long as he's a step above Tony, he would be safe. Gi cried, and he bowed to him, feeling deeply grateful. He told him that from then on, he's a benefactor of the Jiang family. Tony yelled at him. Ye noticed him. Tony was furious. He questioned E if he even knows what he's doing. He asked him if he really wanted to ruin the plan of the Olaf family that they had spent 4 years preparing. He tried to threaten him that if messes with the Olaf family, he'd be done for. But our MC didn't even give a __. He recalled what Justine did to him and how the military officer accused him. It made him think that those people are so used to being tyrants that they think everyone just bow to them. He questioned how they aren't making enemies everywhere. He called Zay and asked if he wants him to help him vent his anger out a little. Jay enthusiastically gave him a thumbs up and told him that he'll just add it to the reward. Ye was immediately on the move. Tony was shocked. In a blink of an eye, Ye had punched him. Tony lost a tooth. While he's falling, he thought of how the commander of the extermination squad doesn't even openly defy them. So, he questioned who the hell you thought he's. He fell on the bottom of the stairs. Someone watched through a screen. They watched him fall. Immediately, the man on the couch stood up. He ordered Hentang to get a full report on Ye by that night. By Hentang replied to the chairman that he understands. Hentang is the head of NEI City Intelligence Bureau and the current patriarch of the Bai family. The chairman Rhodes Olaf replied that no matter who he is, if he dares to mess with him, he'll pay the price. He is the chairman of Neri City Parliament and the current patriarch of the Olaf family. At dusk in a small place, Ye went home and rested. H ate potato chips on the couch while his leg was propped on the coffee table. The first round of the selection tournament ended 2 days ago, and it shocked everyone that Tony, the top contender before the match, only placed third. Though Ye admits that he was impressive. After he kicked him off the mountain, he climbed all the way back up on his own and collapsed on the 49th step. Before the match started, Ye bets all the magic crystals he brought back from the abyss, plus his organs, and he won big on 10-1 odds. The casino boss thanked him for sparing his life. That casino boss had to sell off everything he owned just to pay him the promised 50 gold coins. In that world, 1 gold coin is worth about 100. According to Ellen, 50 gold is roughly what she earns in a full year of monster hunts. That means he made a fortune. And as for the reward for helping the Jang family's young master, his deep thinking was interrupted when someone barged on the door. He was surprised. Eileen kicked open his door. And boy oh boy, he's in danger. He immediately stood up and acknowledged her. She couldn't believe that he refused a Jang family 3-story villa just to stay in a run-down apartment. She asked him if he's stupid. Yu was shocked. He replied that it's close to the extermination squad apartment tower, so it's safer that way. Eileen's home is within the extermination squad housing tower. Then she told him not to waste money, that every coin should be spent on getting stronger. She told him that there's an auction happening that night and he should attend to broaden his horizons a bit. He received the invitation. The nighttime came. They walked the streets. Yu kept checking the surroundings. A mouse squeaked and he got spooked. He couldn't believe that the auction was held in a creepy place like that. He asked if it was legit. Eileen responded that the staff sold there isn't allowed on a public market, but it's high on demand. That's why it's called the black market. Ye was surprised. He knew it was illegal. On top of that, she's not stopping it. Instead, she's actually joining in. It was late at night. Eileen knocked on a back door. She knocked 3 times and waited. The door opened. She told him to stay close. They walked inside. Suddenly, the door was shut. Then the lights were turned on. Yu was blinded by the sudden lights. And when he opened his eyes, he saw men on black robes pointing guns at them, and they were surrounded. One man removed his hood and asked for their invitation. Eileen gave it to him. The man inspected it and told them to follow him. They passed through another door, and when they entered, it was the auction hall. There were already people on the seats. You noticed there were so many people. They sat down. He confirmed with her if the place was legal. She replied that with the support of the B family, even if it's not, it will be considered one. Plus, regular people don't even qualify to enter, so it didn't matter that much. On the 2nd floor, it is the Olaf's family private room. The one sitting on the couch in a military uniform is the Olaf family agent, Hart. One of his guards noticed something. He reported to his boss that Eileen from the extermination squad is in seat 17 with Yi. Hart saw them. He had a devilish grin when he commented that it's really a small world. A few moments later, the host welcomed them. The host wore a sexy bunny suit. She told them that for that night, there are over 100 of rare treasures, so their visit will be worthwhile. Their first item is a Marorok tail. It was an extremely rare monster part edible by ordinary humans. It was renowned for its powerful anti-aging effects. Those who knew about it are familiar with how difficult it is to obtain. It started with 1 gold coin. The crowd got excited. They were wise to start with a premium item. The item was so rare that it might save even one of the audiences. Grandpa, the cockroach god, told him that it's great as F. He knew that is such a trash tier trait. He couldn't understand why people were fighting over the piece of trash. Eileen pointed out that it extends a lifespan. She thought that he's an idiot for not getting that. Next items are the ones unsold from previous auctions, and they're up there for extra discounted price, starting with 100 copper coins. The audience knew that they're being scammed because those are just useless trash. They're wise to know that not every monster corpse is valuable and was presented to just bait some clueless newbies. The cockroach god detected those corpses and evaluated that those trait grades fall under E, A, C, D, and A. Yi smiled. He raised his hand and yelled that he wanted all of them. The auctioneer was pleased. She's glad they had found some suckers. Yi was ready to spend some cash that night. Eileen had just proven that he's dumb. The next one was one of the most anticipated items of the night. It is from the Sink Abyss Frozen Plateau. That is what Eileen wants. It is a magic crystal from the Frozen Plateau Lord, the Frostfang Plateau Spider. The auctioneer informed them that the crystal is over 50% pure, perfectly intact, and of top quality. It is ideal for any ice-type awakener. The bidding starts with 1 gold coin. Eileen was determined to have it because of what happened with the evolved mushroom monster. Once her snow fang blades gain ice infinity, they'll be way stronger. She didn't want to suffer humiliation again. She raised her number. The auctioneer acknowledges her, then asks if there's other bids. Someone pressed a button and announced that seat 1 bids 10 gold coins. It was from the honored guest seat on the 2nd floor. She told them that each raise will now increase by 1 gold coin. Hart now learned what item Eileen is after, and it's exactly what their young master Tony asked for. Eileen glared at them. Now that the Olaf family is bidding, too, things got complicated. She bids 11 gold. Seat 1 bids 15 gold. She raised her bid to 20 gold, but Seat 1 offered 25 gold. The audience thinks that she's nuts for bidding against the Olaf family. They recognized her. Yi knew it wasn't good. Hart knows she doesn't have much money because she's just a vice captain. He thinks her limit is 30 gold. Eileen got annoyed. She bids 30 gold. The auctioneer commented that the bidding war just got exciting. She asked if the treasure would go to seat 17. It was all of her savings, so she prayed that it would work. The auctioneer lightened up. When seat 1 bids 35 gold, the audience's jaw dropped. Eileen felt miserable. One of Hart's men approached her to deliver the message from his boss. He stated with a mocking face, "Already out of money? If you can't afford to play, don't show up." It isn't a place for paupers. Hart laughed as he imagined what their faces looked like after that. The auctioneer stated that it was the final call. He grabbed the number from Eileen's hand. He stood up and he bids 50 gold. Everyone in the room was surprised. Eileen glared at him. Hart finds it interesting. And he stated that all of those years that he's been an Olaf agent, he never seen anyone dare to outbid them to the end. He pressed the button and raised his bid to 55 gold. The bid kept increasing. Now seat 1 is at 80 gold. Ye offered 90 gold. Eileen told him that they can't get any higher than that. Ye had planned it well since they got 80 gold on them, and Z said that the villa is at least 20 gold, so he knew they could keep going. He told her not to panic and focused on securing the item first. If it comes down to it, he'll talk to Zay. Zay replied that he's right because it was just a few gold coins. He was actually behind them and told them not to worry because whatever they are short on, he'll cover it. The subordinate told Hart that they can't keep bidding because they are already way past the family's budget and G was backing them. Yi taunted them by putting up his middle finger and mouthed that if they can't play, they shouldn't come. Hart was so annoyed. The auction ended. Eileen thanked them for everything that night. She promised Yi to repay little by little what she owes him. He told her not to act so formal and reminded her that every coin should be invested into becoming stronger. He reasoned that he just followed her advice until the end. They were surprised when the ground shook. Ji asked what's going on. Eileen received an emergency alert. All extermination squad members are to respond to disaster level in the stronghold. There were so many birds that flew on the outside of the walls. A large monster emerged from the ground. It looked like a giant caterpillar except for its large mouth with sharp teeth. When its foot reached the ground, it released a powerful energy and it kept increasing to the point that the ground shook and Z asked what was going on. That was the time Eileen received the summon. Then she's instructed to gather the patrol teams and escort citizens to the nearest shelters. She was going to say something to those two, but he cuts her off by saying that she doesn't need to say more because in times like that, every combat unit counts. He was all hers to mobilize. Z was up for it too. She told them to follow her and they started running. Some parts of the city were in flames. A drone announced to the civilians that they should immediately go to the nearest shelter. The civilians ran. They panicked. A loud roar made them stop for a second. A woman pointed at the sky. There were gigantic bugs flying around and it landed on the ground. It squashed some humans. Upon witnessing that, the humans were enveloped in fear. They ran as fast as they could. A little girl stood there crying and yelling for her mother. Fortunately, her mother found her. Large items were falling from the sky and a lot of humans were injured from it. Apparently, it was monsters that looked like spiders but had point shells and they squeaked like mice. It immediately attacked. The human bled while it ate them. They attacked one after another. The mother hugged her child and ran, but a monster blocked her path. She stood frozen as she saw it attack. She just closed her eyes. Fortunately, Ye came on time. She saw the creature was cut in half, and it was done by Ye. Ye circulated flame in his arms and channeled it through his lance, which wrecked the monster. The mother who saw her was speechless. She thanked him. Ye noticed a commotion. Eileen grabbed two men by the collar at the same time. One person recognized that it was those same guys who showed up with Tony. He couldn't believe that those awakeners stood by while civilians got slaughtered by monsters, then disguised themselves as normals to run to the shelter. Eileen introduced herself to them and told them that she's drafting them both into the reserve force effective immediately for the city's defense. The brown-haired man replied that he came there to take his money and not throw away his life. He questioned how they would pay him if he gets injured. The other one defended that it was the squad's business and had nothing to do with them. Then the brown-haired one told Ye that since he liked showing off too much, he hoped that the monsters take down the hotshot for that year. Then he walked away. Eileen released her spider silk and wrapped it around the man and brought him down. He asked what she's doing. She stepped on his cheek and asked if she didn't make herself clear. She emphasized that it was a conscription, not a negotiation. She ordered them to take them away and treat them as deserters. The man yelled no because he's an Olympic athlete and he's not even on the extermination squad. He yelled that she can't do it. You pointed out that the city's crawling with monsters, and yet he's still sucking up to the 4 families. It made him undeserving to join the squad. Eileen received an order to assist the Vermilion Gate. At the Vermilion Gate, a loud explosion happened. She called you to come with him. They rode a motorcycle. And when they arrived at the gate, another explosion happened. Monsters crawled in. She told him that they have no time to wait for backup, so they're going in. She stopped the motorcycle and used her spider silk to go through the door. While holding onto Ye, she reached the top of the wall and saw several corpses of both humans and monsters. Ye was frustrated that they got there late. He saw the monsters on the other side of the wall and asked if it's just the 2 of them that would take all those out. She's contemplating. Then she saw the cannon. She told him that if the cannon still works, they can hold the line. She told him to hold off the monsters for 2 minutes while she got the cannon running. Several gigantic insect-type monsters flew towards them. Ye got flustered that it was just him, and for 2 minutes. He had no choice but to hold the line. He used Cockroach Scythe and defeated a bunch of monsters in an instant. He saw the crawling monster getting past him. He used Sticky Tongue and wrapped it around the monster and threw it away. He yelled that none of them would get past him. A large monster roared. It caught his attention. In a blink of an eye, it was already latched onto him. He summoned his lance and sliced it in half. He was already out of breath. Another monster towered over him. He admitted to himself that he can now understand why those 2 didn't dare to step onto the battlefield. One wrong move against those things would mean death. He checked the human corpse beside him. The man's skin had melted, and it showed his muscles and teeth. Ye looked determined. He faced the monster. He leapt to evade its attack and then stab it from the top. He was thinking that being scared shouldn't be used as an excuse to run. He took a piece of the monster's flesh and ate it. He acquired the dragon grasping claw trait. His arms had transformed, and he sliced those monsters who were coming at him. Unexpectedly, there's a quick attack in front of him. The dust scattered when the monster's sharp leg hit the ground. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the Vermilion Gate, there's a crawling monster that is carrying its egg. There are a lot of baby monsters inside that egg. It threw the egg in the air and upon crashing, it caused an explosion and freed those baby monsters. At this point, Ye already looked exhausted. If that continued, he knew that those monsters won't stop coming. He wondered where the 2-minute backup is now. But he also knew that if he lost the wall, the city would be destroyed and more people will die. That alone motivated him. He declared that from the moment he stepped on the wall, retreating wasn't an option. He stood up and released flames. A horde of monsters were on its way towards him. He released more flames, and it enveloped his lance in swirling motion. The trait is called Scorching Heaven Molten Spiral, and that burned several monsters all at once. The fire kept burning. The night sky had now appeared inside the city's control room. One man lost his temper when none of the defense systems were activated. And the main crystal isn't responding. He ordered the activation sequence again. They were in a bad situation where the sequence runs, but the crystal isn't reacting at all. Someone volunteered to do it. He was confused about who that person was. They recognized that it was a rookie. They knew it was X, and their whole clan was the one who developed the whole defense system. They admitted that no one knew the system better than him. She worked on it. 2 monster-like arms appeared from his back, and it also moved while his 2 other arms were busy typing. Then he noticed it. The crystal loop was functioning, and crystal energy amplifiers were online. Plus, the threat detection signals are stable. The crystal hardware is fine. So, he thought of one good reason. He typed so fast. And just as he thought there was an energy interruption, it means that someone used the emergency override during system diagnostics to cut off all energy output from the crystals. From watchtowers, outer defense bunkers to energy defense cannon inside the city, and even the triple-layer core powering the entire defense hub. All of it were disabled by the cutoff. He also knew that the shutdown command isn't even used during regular maintenance. It made him think that someone sabotaged the city's defenses on purpose. He couldn't believe them. It's like they're handing the city to the monsters. He ordered the rebooting of the city's internal defense weapons. He kept typing on the keyboard. The crystals started emitting energy. The cannons glowed and it started firing. They celebrated when they saw that the systems are back online. Z was still focused on his work. He watched people getting rescued. He felt relieved that the extermination squad runs full-scale disaster drills so often. The church is handling the evacuation and medical support on the ground. The intelligence bureau is keeping order inside the city. They guided the civilians where to go, and the military had originally planned to leave the extermination squad alone to wear them down during the monster invasion to the point that the entire city is on the verge of collapsing. So, they're forced to step in. Z was thinking that if they had just mobilized earlier, even with the sabotaged system, the damage wouldn't have been that bad. He knew it wasn't over yet. Even though they rebooted the defense system, the remaining functional turret still needed to hold the line no matter what. He was aware that the wall cannot fall. If they lose it, the city is gone. Meanwhile, Ye is already panting. He could barely stand up. He killed tons of monsters already, but a lot of them are still coming. They won't even give him time to breathe. After that last molten spiral, he can't fire another one for a while. He asked Eileen loudly if she hasn't done yet. At this point, Ye faced a large monster. Its body was long. It had several feet, and its mouth was so wide and had lots of pointy teeth. Ye looked exhausted, but he battles it. He pierced the monster's mouth with his lance, then it made it explode. He stepped back and checked the cannon. Eileen said, "It just needs 2 minutes," but 2 minutes became 4, and now it's almost 10 minutes of him fighting alone. He asked loudly if she's done already. The monster saw the cannon. It moved so fast. Yi noticed it. It went above him and straight to the cannon. Yi got alarmed when he saw that. He moved quickly and rode on top of the monster's head. He gripped his lance with both of his hands and gathered so much force to pierce it, but the monster kept going. He couldn't stop it. Fortunately, the cannon fired, and it hit the monster directly. Yi asked if it was over. Eileen stood up and replied that it took longer, but the crystal has been restored. The cannons kept firing. Several monsters were hit all at once. Some men marched in. Yi saw them. Eileen was glad that they finally in position. She ordered them that the wall turrets will be back online soon. But until then, they must hold the line no matter what. They all replied, yes. Little did they know that several little monsters were watching the wall, and they launched themselves in the air. The extermination squad fired. They get to hit the monsters. And they continued firing, but sadly one of the monsters landed on a soldier and got eaten. The colleague who saw that fired at the monster. Then he told his colleague to get up, but to his surprise, a monster appeared from his side and it latched to his neck and he fell. The other men kept firing. They kept going despite the tears flowing from their eyes. The monsters got hit. The battlefield was chaotic. There was one who screaming in anger, one who was begging for help. And there were a lot of monster noises. Y kept fighting too. He sliced up a large monster. He's breathing heavily. He glanced behind him and asked the soldiers if they could still hang on. He told them that he will cover that side while they fall back for now. But when he checked, only he's the last one left standing. He turned pale. Then he felt angry. He cursed all those monsters. He unleashed a powerful explosion while yelling at them to die. Then the tower lit up. There was a door beneath the wall and it opened. It revealed a cannon. It was gigantic. Someone called Eileen. It was from the HQ. They informed her that the Guardian cannon is fully charged. A horde of monsters charged forward. Eileen ordered to fire. The cannons released powerful beams. Since there were several cannons, it covered a wide area. The outside of the wall had massive explosions. A lot of monsters got caught up in it. They perished. You watched it happen. He had this sullen expression on his face. The explosions kept going one after another. Later on, the area was cleared. The cannons were done firing. He saw that most of them were dead and the ones who survived had run away. Eileen told him that the Guardian cannon kills packs of those monsters, but it needed to recharge before every shot. She elaborated that normally when a classy abyssal breach happens, they detect energy spikes days or even weeks in advance, and that gives them time to prepare near any possible entry points. But this time, he's quiet. Eileen's body trembled as she admits that there wasn't even a hint of warning. Yi just listened. Then he pats her shoulder. There were a lot of corpses in front of them. Yi told her that none of it was her fault. She knew that. Her tears fell. She admits that it was hard to take. Unexpectedly, an explosion happened. They were caught off guard. Something on the ground was crawling towards them, and it left a trail of dust. It came out and revealed a humongous monster. It had several tentacles, and it targeted the cannons. You couldn't believe it. It hit the wall and it crumbled. Yi was falling, but he got concerned when he opened his eyes because Eileen was falling too. He used extra long ape arms to reach her. He was able to grab her. Then he used his other arm to hand onto the rocks and stop them from falling. Eileen opened her eyes. She saw that all of their cannons got destroyed in an instant. Yi was dumbfounded when he is a humongous monster. It had a shark head with a large mouth and pointy teeth. Several eyes and feet in front while its body is long and on its sides are the tentacles. Eileen told him that they can't let it destroy the wall. They immediately got moving and targeted its head. Ye used his lance while Eileen used her blade. They struck at the same time, but nothing happened. It didn't even flinch. Ye had to step back. Since it had a tough skin, he decided to go for its eyes. He hit it, but his eyes couldn't even penetrate it. He was lost. Then the monster shook him off and he fell. The monster bit on the wall, then ate it. You watched it while he's falling. The monster had taken a big portion of the wall. Eileen cursed out loud. Yi grouped up with her. She's worried that the wall would collapse. They saw the monster looking at the sky. And then it opened its mouth. It was ready to devour them. A blonde man saw them. He raised his red hammer and hit it. Those two were surprised. Eileen recognized the man. It was Captain Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao is the Unit 1 captain of Extermination Squad Unit 1. He grouped up with them. You couldn't believe that the uncle was their captain. Eileen looked proud in introducing her squad captain. She stated that he's second to Commander Corey in the entire extermination force. She explained that he looked like that because his ability lets him control his blood in combat. And he spent years in continuous battle, so he has chronic anemia. Blood was drained out of the monster corpses. It turned into fists. The captain controlled several blood fists in the air. She warned Ye not to let the appearance fool him. Yi's eyes widened in shock. The monster got hit with a fist and it groaned out loud. It looked angry now. Then its limbs charged at Ling Xiao. Both Yi and Eileen moved too. The monster shattered the area they're previously in. While dodging the attack, Yi got worried because the recent attack made a crack on the city wall, and he got worried for the captain, but Eileen told him to relax. She knew that an attack like that won't do anything to him. Ling Xiao had blocked it with a long stick. He was unscathed and he counterattacked using his large hammer. Then the blood hammer morphed. It became a trap that holds the monster down. The monster was immobilized and it roared out loud. Ling Xiao bit his thumb to bleed and he addressed those who lie buried there. He acknowledged their fear, their rage, and their sorrow and told them that he had heard them all. He extracted their blood and combined it. It created a long blood sword. He stated that with the remnants of their blood, he will end the beast. The monster roared loudly as if it felt its impending doom. Linjiao swung his blood sword, and it sliced the monster. Ye watched it intently. The monster's humongous body was sliced lengthwise, and it bursts open. Just like that, it was left in 2 pieces. You couldn't believe the terrifying pressure. He now knows the power of the first squad's captain. After that, it rained blood on where Ling Xiao is. He turned to Eileen and told her that he's proud of everyone. He knew that not a single soul had faltered at the end. He could feel that even then, their blood still burns with that fighting spirit. Eileen told him to make the bleeding on his fingers stop first. He didn't notice that because he got carried away. After warming up, he looked for his bandage. Eileen gave him some instead. Ling Xiao stated that the grudge will be settled after he had slain the Abyssal Lord. Ye realized that he had no time to relax. Although he had come far since his return, compared to a squad captain-level awakener, he knew he still had a long way to go. He turned to the sky and saw aircrafts flying towards them. It deployed bombs. The ground had several explosions. Z was inside a mech, and he told Ye that from then on they could leave it to Jiang family's tech. He told him that the entire defense system of Neri City was built with their technology, and by dawn, the repaired drones will get the walls back to usable condition. Ye was impressed. He stated that compared to the kind of black tech, the old outpost felt like a primitive village. It is no wonder that everyone wants to move to Neri City. Linjiao told Ye that the commander wants him and Eileen to report to the Supreme Council. He added that it includes 11 too. Ye replied that the wall won't be fixed soon and if they all leave and the monsters come back. Ling Xiao informed him that he's staying. He wished the monsters would come because he could use some warm-up. They obeyed the order. At Nice City Parliament building, Eileen, Ye, and Jay stood before tall screens. Jia reported what happened. Then Eileen completed her report too. Rhodes glared at them. Zhang Saiwei, the president of Zhang Group and head of the Zhang family, stated that the primary cause of the Nuri City's breach during the Abyssal invasion was the deliberate sabotage of the core power system that prevented all 3 defense layers from activating in time. He added that Eileen's report confirms that once power was restored, the city defenses held up fine. He proposed the council to launch a full investigation. Bai Hentang, the head of the Bi family and director of intelligence, replied that the intelligence department will handle the inquiry, but he believed that there's a more urgent matter to discuss. Seiwei countered by saying that Hentang realized that they can't pin the fault on them, so they are just sweeping it under the rug. A woman told them to stop. She's Taya Yeser, the head of the User family and the high priestess of the Esper. She told them that the top priority is dealing with the unexpected emergence of the Class Abyss. She asked Commander Corey when he will the Abyss Suppression Squad be deployed. Corey responded that the Extermination Squad and elite fighters from each faction had already gathered, but there was an incident. He received a message just before the meeting. He showed them a video of a monster similar to what Ling Xiao defeated wrapping its tentacles on a truck. The man on the video sought help. He told them that Facility 12 is under a monster invasion. You doesn't know that is. Eileen explained that it's the most top-secret Zhang facility. She's sister is the head of it. Even Eileen doesn't have the clearance to know what they're researching. She got worried for his sister. Ye was surprised to know that something that important isn't inside the city. Eileen replied that it was supposed to be, but the council rejected the plan. Because of advanced tech safety risks, they forced them to relocate outside the city walls. Ye understood that it was a deliberate setup. He asked if they had been evacuated and also if his sister was okay. Corey admitted that no warning signals were received and nearly everyone at the facility is still trapped inside. He planned to delay the deployment of the suppression squad and send Ling Xiao to lead a rescue mission to Facility 12 first. Taya objects. She told him that the church senses the energy inside the abyss, and it is still growing stronger. So, if they don't eliminate the Lord soon, things could spiral beyond control. Corey decided to let Captain Pharaoh of the 2nd Squad handle the rescue, and the suppression squad would proceed as scheduled. Hentang expressed that it won't work. He reasoned that the current squad doesn't meet the minimum requirement of 10 Tier 1 Awakeners needed to raid an A-class abyss. And even with the commander personally leading them, every squad level Tier 1 is essential to take down the Abyssal Lord in the first strike. Siwei got triggered and blamed him for forcing Facility 12 outside the city. He questioned if he's just going to sit and let them die. Rhodes Olaf, The military chief and the Speaker of the Parliament responded that the top priority is eliminating the Abyssal Lord, and the longer they delay, the more danger the city will be in. He concluded that the suppression squad will proceed as planned. Deep inside, he thinks that Siwei is a useless fool for refusing to merge with the Olaf family before, and now he's expecting support. Corey knew that Rhodes gave a noble speech, but in reality, he just wanted to crush the Zhang family. Even at that moment, he's aware that they're scheming something. Ye said that he gets it now, that none of them are planning to help. He caught the attention of all the heads. He declared that he'll go by himself. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Also, support the channel by hitting the subscribe button. You can also support by just liking the video.